It's a special feeling to be number one. Everybody thought you were the best. That's a special moment, a special moment. And number one, that's just, that's everything. You wait for that moment all your life to have your name called. Don't think that every basketball player does not watch the draft to one day say, hey, I want my name to be called. I want to walk across the stage. I don't think there's one guy who ever had forgotten when he was drafted. You will always remember that. You always have that. Because you always dreamed of being in the NBA. So when that moment comes and your name is called, you finally have arrived.
And tonight, you've arrived at a place where childhood dreams will come true. With the big city of New York as a backdrop, some of the best young players in the world stand at the doorstep to the big time, the NBA. We welcome you to East Rutherford, New Jersey, and the home of the New Jersey Nets, Continental Airlines Arena. It is the 1996 NBA Draft, start to finish on TNT. Thanks for being with us tonight. Good evening, everybody. I'm Ernie Johnson. And you listen to the words of Magic Johnson, and he speaks with such passion, even though it happened 17 years ago when he was the #1 pick of the draft. It means that much. It speaks volumes to the magnitude of this night, to the young players and to their families and to their schools and to their coaches, that tonight they could hear their names called, being one of 58 players chosen in the 1996 NBA Draft. We are glad you're with us for 4 hours worth, rounds 1 and 2. 2 rounds in this draft, 5 minutes between picks in the first round. The lightning round, 2 minutes between picks in the second. The Knicks have 3 in the first round. The Heat and the Spurs, no selections, and 36 underclassmen are eligible for the draft. This is kind of an unnerving night at times if you are making the choices, and already we know that the Toronto Raptors are having their door knocked down by Minnesota and Milwaukee and Boston, wanting to get up to that #2 spot. Isaiah Thomas apparently going to go with his gut right there at #2 and pull the trigger on one of those choices. It's that kind of a night when it is draft night. What is the key, Hubie Brown?
Well, I think you have to look, Ernie. It's a very deep draft. We're overloaded at the small forward and power positions, but you also have to look into the formula and say over 150 free agents, the most talent ever coming out as of July 1st.
Also joining us tonight, the last time he was in this building, his Kentucky Wildcats were winning the national championship. Head coach of the Kentucky Wildcats, Rick Pitino. Rick, a lot of folks coming out, a lot of kids coming out. Childhood, a not too distant memory for some of these guys. What is the risk you take if you draft one of them?
Well, it certainly is a risk because in 3 years you could possibly lose one of those picks. But Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas all came out early, and certainly we may have players at that level right now coming out. So great future lies ahead for these young men.
Tonight is a lot like last year's draft in Toronto in that there is the specter of an NBA lockout hanging over the proceedings here on July 1 because there is still no collective bargaining agreement between the NBA and the Players Association. Let's get more on where things stand as far as that issue goes with 2 more of our colleagues here tonight, Greg Sager and Peter Vesey, the NBA NBC insider, who's working with us tonight, and they're with Russ Granick, Deputy NBA Commissioner. Gentlemen?
Well, we certainly don't want to spoil the party. This is a night of celebration, but we have to talk about the negotiations. They broke off last night. You went back to the table today. Is any progress being made?
Well, I think some progress was made today. We did meet for 4 or 5 hours, and we're scheduled to meet again tomorrow, but it's still too early to tell if we're getting anywhere or not.
Should there be a lockout, how does that impact the Olympics? There are a couple guys that are there on this team that were dissidents in the decertification movement. And 4 of these guys, Shaquille O'Neal, Reggie Miller, John Stockton, and now Gary Payton, are free agents. Maybe they won't want to even play without an insurance policy or a contract.
Well, I don't think, Pete, that it should affect the Olympics. I mean, we support USA Basketball and the Olympic movement, but that's an entirely separate institution from the NBA. And I'd be surprised if any players said that they weren't ready to play for their country just because we have a labor dispute in the NBA. And I have not heard that from any of the players yet, and I'm certainly hopeful that whatever happens with the labor problems in the NBA, that we'll still have a dream team together.
This just doesn't make sense. You had an agreement a year ago. The commissioner said yesterday the players reneged on certain issues. What are those issues?
Well, there have been a number of issues. When they brought in a new negotiator in February, who had been the person who had been trying to decertify the union last summer, he basically said he didn't feel obligated to live up to a lot of the cap rules that have been agreed to the fact that we had a group license agreement allowing us to continue to utilize player likenesses, pension issues. There's a whole host of issues that they really turned the tables on once the new negotiator came in February.
Well, it takes sacrifice and determination to make it in the NBA. Let's hope those same ideals carry over from the players we interviewed tonight to the negotiating table tomorrow. Ernie?
All right, thank you very much, Craig Sager and Peter Vesey. Much more from those two as the night goes on. And the NBA Commissioner David Stern is set now to tip off the proceedings here of the 1996 NBA Draft. Let us go center stage to the Commissioner.
Good evening, and welcome to the 1996 NBA Draft at the Continental Airlines Arena, home of the New Jersey Nets. To our fans across North America, watching on TNT in the United States and YTV in Canada, thank you for joining us. And to our many fans gathered here today, thank you for your strong and enthusiastic turnout. Let's get started. The first pick in the 1996 NBA Draft will be made by the Philadelphia 76ers, who have 5 minutes to make their selection.
And so the clock is running on the Philadelphia 76ers as we begin the 1996 NBA Draft. Throughout the night, you will hear from our correspondents who have got you covered coast to coast, conference by conference, division by division. Scott Hastings, one of the all-time great 12th men in the league, will be in Phoenix covering the Pacific Division. The Midwest Division is handled by Jim Durham in Dallas. The Central Division handled by my old buddy Cheryl Miller, who's up there at Gund Arena. And let's begin our rip around now of who our correspondents are with Kevin Kiley in Philadelphia.
Thanks, Ernie. I'm at the Spectrum, where I'll be tracking the Atlantic Division. Rumors abound here in Philadelphia. Will the 76ers keep the #1 pick? Will they switch with Vancouver for the #3 pick? Well, you can put all those rumors to rest. The president of the 76ers, Pat Croce, told me a short time ago they will keep the #1 pick, and that clears the way for Allen Iverson to become a 76er. Let's go now to Cleveland and Cheryl Miller.
Thanks a lot, Kevin. I'm here at Gund Arena, and I'll be covering all the action in the Central Division. Now, the Cavaliers have 2 picks in the first round, and according to Coach Mike Fratello, they're definitely looking for some big men. Let's go to Jim Durham.
And Cheryl, here in Dallas, the Mavericks have had controversy all week surrounding the 3 J's. They put that behind them. They look ahead to the 9th pick in the first round, and what have they got? Maybe 3 W's. They're looking at Lorenzen Wright, Samaki Walker, and John Wallace. The Mavericks, like the rest of the Midwest and the NBA, keeping their options open. Let's go to Phoenix and Scott Hastings.
Thanks, Jim. I tell you what, the Pacific Division has all sorts of things going on. You got a disgruntled point guard in Portland. They're trying to get rid of him. Golden State's trying to draft somebody. We can't even pronounce their name. And will Charles Barkley be traded before the draft or after the draft? We'll answer those questions out here in Phoenix. Ernie, back to you.
All right, Scotty, and geez, Golden State with a guy you can't pronounce could be Ephemius Rencius, Zildranus Isgalskis, and Vitaly Potapenko. They are tough to pronounce, but all 3 of those guys should go somewhere in the first round. The #1 pick, however, belongs to the Philadelphia 76ers. Much of the speculation, and as Kevin Kiley pointed out, centering on Allen Iverson of Georgetown, the sophomore. Let's go to Peter Vesey now. And Peter, any reason to think they'd go anywhere but Iverson?
No, I think he has a pretty good source there in Mr. Croce. I talked to Brad Greenberg, the 76er general manager, a while ago. He loves Iverson for a number of reasons. He thinks he's the quickest guy in the draft, the fastest, the most competitive, the most mentally tough, the most persistent. In addition, he feels he's capable, very capable of running the team and making everybody happy. Other than that, Brad Greenberg isn't sure of the pick.
Quickly, guys, if you had to make the choice between Stephon Marbury, and Iverson, where do you go?
Well, it comes down to style. You have a new coach, you have a new general manager. How are you going to play? You already have in cement Derek Coleman, you have Clarence Witherspoon, and then you have Stackhouse. three guys who score. It will come down to your philosophy. Here in New York, it's unanimous. It should be Marbury.
Where I sit, I like Marcus Camby because of the style of play of having to wait for Derek Coleman to get down the floor. The X factor. Derek Coleman gets in great shape. You got three wonderful players with Iverson, Stackhouse, and Derek Coleman.
There's been a lot of instability at the point for the Philadelphia 76ers since Maurice Cheeks left. And look at this list since 1989 of Johnny Dawkins and Hornacek, Ricky Green, Barrows, Tyler, Skiles, Maxwell, and the instant offense guy, Trevor Ruffin. Making the adjustment from the point in college to the point in the pros, how tough is that?
Well, it's very difficult. First, starting with the defensive end, but Iverson and Marbury, two excellent defenders. Also, the 24-second clock, Ernie. You not only have to get the teams into their offensive sets, but you also have to be able to break the defensive down when that clock gets to 4 or 5 seconds.
We are ready for the first pick of the 1996 NBA draft, and to make the announcement, the commissioner, David Stern.
With the first pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the Philadelphia 76ers select Allen Iverson from Georgetown University.
And there you see backstage Allen Iverson, the Georgetown sophomore. Ann and Steve, mom and dad. Family and friends back there. And what a tremendous moment that is for a kid. You think about all the nights, all the mornings that you had to get up early, take the kid to his youth league game, and dreaming of this night, of being the first pick in the NBA draft. And it has happened for Allen Iverson. His mom, and there is David Falk, who should figure prominently into the...
He seems very happy.
Yes, as a matter of fact. Can't hide that smile. Wearing the hat of the Philadelphia 76ers, Allen Iverson. And let's talk a little bit about the first pick by the Philadelphia 76ers, an even 6 foot, 167 pounds, and as quick as you can possibly want out of a player about to go into the NBA. Allen Iverson led the Big East in scoring with 25 points a game and in steals with better than 3 a contest. He was consensus All-American. He averaged nearly 28 points a game in the NCAA tournament. He played 4 games there. Had 10 steals in a game against Miami. The first player to ever leave Georgetown in the John Thompson era. He had good reason to do this. He has a sister who's ill, needs a specialist. Allen Iverson wants to help. You look at the strengths and the weaknesses. A lot of strengths, a big upside on this guy. What do you think, Hubie and Rick?
Well, I think you also have to throw into the equation is the fact that he was Defensive Player of the Year 2 times in the Big East. You know that with the basketball from end to end, there's no one in the league going to be quicker. Plus, you know because of the explosiveness that he can break you down from a defensive standpoint. And a major plus with this guy, he gets to the foul line.
And pretty good ups on the guy, too. And I have a feeling he hasn't come down yet, even though he is with our Craig Sager right now, Craig.
All right, Alan, congratulations. Hubie Brown says there's nobody in the league quicker than you. Is there anybody that can stop you one-on-one?
I don't know. I hope not. I don't think so.
You've pretty well been able to do whatever you want on the court in high school and in college. What have the Sixers told you they expect from you?
They just want me to come in and play my game, distribute the ball. There's great players already on the team, Stackhouse and Derek Coleman. It'll be crazy to think that I will come in and try to take all the shots like I did at Georgetown. But I think we have a good game plan, and we got a great coach and a great staff, and I'm looking forward to it.
You mentioned great players. Derek Coleman obviously is one of them. If you talk to him, how do you get the best out of his game?
I haven't talked to him, but, they lost some games last year a lot. And I know they want to just dig deep down inside and bring everything out that they got and win some games. And all I want to do is win. And that whole staff and the organization, they just want to win.
Congratulations, you're number 1.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right, Ernie.
All right, there is his mom, Ann, and hanging on every word that Allen Iverson had to say. His first interview as a pro, you could say, talking to our Craig Sager. And that means that the last 2 picks of the draft have both been from Georgetown. Don Reed was the last pick last year, and now Allen Iverson, the first pick of the '96 draft. And Don Reed's success with Doug Collins and the Detroit Pistons points out, doesn't matter where you go, you can make an impact in this league. Allen Iverson definitely had an impact on the program at Georgetown, leaving after his sophomore year, leaving John Thompson with memories of a true fantastic point guard.
He's an extraordinary athlete. I think that the fact that he jumps well, he runs well, he's quick and fast. He is an intelligent person. He picks up very quickly. And, you know, if Allen does not do something, it's because he made the choice to do it, not because of the fact that he does not understand. And I think he's got a tremendous competitive heart.
He is the 6th guard taken #1 in the NBA draft, the last one taken 1979. Pretty good player, Earvin Magic Johnson. So the Philadelphia 76ers have a new look. They have a new point guard. Let us go now to Kevin Kiley. Kevin?
Thank you, Ernie. A lot of smiling faces here in Philadelphia. This is one of them, the new rookie head coach, Johnny Davis, former point guard yourself. I have to ask you, the character issue with Iverson, was it discussed?
We certainly discussed it. We evaluated, assessed Allen Iverson as a person, and we're very satisfied with who he is.
There's some concern that Iverson being so quick getting up and down the court that Coleman and Witherspoon will not get up and down the court with him. What's your feeling in coaching the team?
Not a concern at all. Derek Coleman, Jerry Stackhouse, both basketball players, both willing to do whatever. They'll be able to get up and down the floor with Allen Iverson.
You'll make sure they do. Now, what about the point guard position? What is the most difficult thing for a point guard to learn?
I think running the club, learning which players like the ball where, just being in command and authority of the game itself. I don't think Allen will have any problem making that adjustment at all.
Right, Johnny. Well, congratulations to you and to the Philadelphia 76ers. Back to you, Ernie.
All right, thank you, Johnny and Kevin. The Toronto Raptors on the clock right now, and you remember on national TV, Isaiah Thomas said, I've got my eye on Marcus Camby. He's the guy I want. Let's see if that is indeed the case as we go to Commissioner David Stern.
With the 2nd pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the Toronto Raptors select Marcus Camby from the University of Massachusetts.
Well, there's the guy Rick Pitino said should have gone first. He'll take #2, though. Marcus Camby of UMass. Coming out after his junior year, College Player of the Year, led UMass to the Final Four. Backface Rick Pitino's bunch right here at Continental Airlines Arena.
Well, it's all based on needs and what a team needs, and certainly Allen Iverson has the ability to make the 76ers a great ball club. But this young man has what all NBA teams look for. He's a shot blocker. He's extremely quick. He has a great low post game, and if you try to double down on him, he finds all the open men. So this young man has fabulous potential, and Toronto really, with Stoudemire and now Camby, they've got a great future that lies ahead.
Yeah, the Raptors had the Rookie of the Year in Damon Stoudemire, Mighty Mouse a year ago, and now they'll make their bid for that award again with Marcus Camby. There's his mom, Janice, backstage, and there's Big Marcus with Commissioner David Stern, who spends a lot of nights on draft night looking way up at some of the draftees. 6'11", 223 pounds out of UMass, a power forward, the College Player of the Year. And there is Marcus Camby. The great low post moves, as you point out,
yes,
Rick.
Unfortunately, against our team.
One of 4 players with 300 career blocks. He can get that done, too.
Ernie, what you have to look at this guy has won at every level, and he has the ability to carry the other 4 guys. He's a power forward. You match him up with Sharon Wright at the center position. At small forward, you have Tracy Murray, Carlos Rogers, Doug Christie, and then in the back court, you have Stoudemire. So 4 of your positions, you have young players and guys who can get the job done points-wise.
The Minuteman goes to the Toronto Raptors with the 2nd pick of the NBA draft, and Marcus Camby is with Craig Sager.
Well, Marcus, first of all, after all that's happened the last few weeks, the moment has finally arrived. Any way to describe what you've had to go through?
It's been difficult, but, you know, I had a lot of support back home from Hartford, and back home was a lot of people didn't want to see Marcus Camby succeed, but I had strong friends on my project, the penthouse in Bellevue Square. I had great support from the cartel back there in the back, and, you know, everything's been great.
A lot of players, we say we have to wait to develop. You're ready to make an immediate impact. What position, your talents, where are they suited in the NBA?
People question, you know, what position I'll play, a 3, 4, or 5. I consider myself just as a player. Just get me out there on the court and just let me play.
Isaiah Thomas has proven he knows what he's doing. Last year, Damon Stoudemire. Have you met Damon? Have you played against Mighty Mouse?
Oh, yeah, I met him in my rookie. We played one-on-one. But he beat me 5-4, but I couldn't back him in. So, you know, he's a heck of a point guard. And any big man would love playing with Damon.
Rookie of the year 2 years in a row, maybe?
Maybe.
All right, congratulations. Let's go back to the set.
All right, and on the way, again, a look at Mom, Janice. Congratulations, your son, number 2 in the NBA draft. And he's also the second player from UMass picked in the first round ever. The other one, Dr. J, Julius Erving, 1972 by the Bucks, a guy sold on the talents of Marcus Camby.
I think Marcus is a player with tremendous skills. His offensive skills are very, very good. He's won at every level that he's played at. As a high school player, he was state champion. As a college player, his team took his team to the Final Four. On the defensive end of the court, he plays with a tremendous amount of passion. He blocks shots with a passion, helps his teammates, talks while he's on the court, and physically, he's willing to give up his body.
So Marcus Camby, picked by the Toronto Raptors. Now the number 3 pick goes to the Vancouver Grizzlies. Let's see what's going on in the 3, 4, 5 area right now. Let's check in with Peter Vesey. Pete, what you got?
Well, there's been some talk that the Grizzlies might take Stephon Marbury at this spot, but they're going to go for Sharif Abdur-Rahim, and they're going to keep him. They love this guy. Stu Jackson's in love with him. The Bucks will then go for Stephon Marbury. Mike Dunleavy loves him, but he could also be talked into trading him. The T-Wolves are already offering Andrew Lang and a flip-flop of picks. The Lakers have offered Vlade Divac. Mike Dunleavy wants Anthony Peeler thrown in there. The 5th pick is going to be Antoine Walker. Kevin McHale likes the guy, but I think they're going to take him. 75% sure they're going to trade him to somebody else. To you, Ernie.
All right, thank you, Peter. The complexion of the draft kind of changed a little bit with Sharif Abdur-Rahim announcing he was coming back out. He said first, I'm going to come out. Then he said, I'm going back to school. Now I'm coming back out. We could make his name Sharif Abdur. I'm not so sure, Rahim. But he's back in there. And if you are the Vancouver Grizzlies, and I appreciate the chuckle there, Hubie, what do you do right here?
No, I think he is a terrific talent. I had an opportunity to see him in high school, and then you saw what he just did this year at the University of California. We're just saying 6'10", he can run the floor with anyone he handles, has an excellent game facing, he can rebound and block shots.
First 5 picks in this draft, to me, I look down the road and I see 5 All-Stars. Every year you look at the draft and you wonder, could this person be a potential All-Star? This young man definitely is a potential All-Star.
The Vancouver Grizzlies have the number 3 pick. Let's go to the stage and Commissioner David Stern for the announcement.
With the 3rd pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the Vancouver Grizzlies select Sharif Abdur-Rahim from the University of California.
The earliest a freshman has ever gone in the NBA draft, Sharif Abdur-Rahim, a high schooler in Marietta, Georgia, played his freshman year, his only year of college ball at the University of California.
It's a special feeling to be number 1. Everybody thought you were the best. That's a special moment, a special moment. And number 1, that's just, that's everything. You wait for that moment all your life to have your name called. Don't think that every basketball player does not watch the draft to one day say, hey, I want my name to get called. I want to walk across the stage. I don't think there's one guy who ever had forgotten when he was drafted. You will always remember that. You will always have that. Because you always dreamed of being in the NBA. So when that moment comes and your name is called, you finally have arrived.
And tonight, you've arrived at a place where childhood dreams will come true with the big city of New York as a backdrop. Some of the best young players in the world stand at the doorstep to the big time, the NBA. We welcome you to East Rutherford, New Jersey, and the home of the New Jersey Nets, Continental Airlines Arena. It is the 1996 NBA Draft, start to finish on TNT. Thanks for being with us tonight. Good evening, everybody. I'm Ernie Johnson. And you listen to the words of Magic Johnson, and he speaks with such passion, even though it happened 17 years ago when he was the #1 pick of the draft. It means that much. It speaks volumes to the magnitude of this night, to the young players and to their families and to their schools and to their coaches, that tonight they could hear their names called, being one of 58 players chosen in the 1996 NBA Draft. We are glad you're with us for 4 hours worth, rounds 1 and 2. 2 rounds in this draft, 5 minutes between picks in the first round. The Lightning round, 2 minutes between picks in the second. The Knicks have 3 in the first round. The Heat and the Spurs, no selections. And 36 underclassmen are eligible for the draft. This is kind of an unnerving night at times if you are making the choices. And already we know that the Toronto Raptors are having their door knocked down by Minnesota and Milwaukee and Boston, wanting to get up to that #2 spot. Isaiah Thomas apparently going to go with his gut right there at #2 and pull the trigger on one of those choices. It's that kind of a night when it is draft night. What is the key, Hubie Brown?
Well, I think you have to look, Ernie. It's a very deep draft. We're overloaded at the small forward and power positions, but you also have to look into the formula and say over 150 free agents, the most talent ever coming out as of July 1st.
Also joining us tonight, the last time he was in this building, his Kentucky Wildcats were winning the national championship. Head coach of the Kentucky Wildcats, Rick Pitino. Rick, a lot of folks coming out, a lot of kids coming out, childhood, a not too distant memory for some of these guys. What is the risk you take if you draft one of them?
Well, it certainly is a risk because in 3 years you could possibly lose one of those picks, but Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas all came out early, and certainly we may have players at that level right now coming out, so a great future lies ahead for these young men.
Tonight is a lot like last year's draft in Toronto in that there is the specter of an NBA lockout hanging over the proceedings here on July 1 because there is still no collective bargaining agreement between the NBA and the Players Association. Let's get more on where things stand as far as that issue goes with 2 more of our colleagues here tonight, Greg Sager and Peter Vesey, the NBA NBC insider, who's working with us tonight, and they're with Russ Granick, Deputy NBA Commissioner. Gentlemen?
Well, we certainly don't want to spoil the party. This is a night of celebration, but we have to talk about the negotiations. They broke off last night. You went back to the table today. Is any progress being made?
Well, I think some progress was made today. We did meet for 4 or 5 hours, and we're scheduled to meet again tomorrow, but it's still too early to tell if we're getting anywhere or not.
Should there be a lockout, how does that impact the Olympics? There are a couple guys that are there on this team that were dissidents in the decertification movement. And 4 of these guys, Shaquille O'Neal, Reggie Miller, John Stockton, and now Gary Payton, are free agents. Maybe they won't want to even play without an insurance policy or a contract.
Well, I don't think, Pete, that it should affect the Olympics. I mean, we support USA basketball and the Olympic movement, but that's an entirely separate institution from the NBA. And I'd be surprised if any players said that they weren't ready to play for their country just because we have a labor dispute in the NBA. And I have not heard that from...
And there is Stephon Marbury. It's not just moms who shed a tear on this night. The 4th pick of the draft, the Milwaukee Bucks take Stephon Marbury, 6'2", 182 out of Georgia Tech. Played 1 year for Bobby Crimmins. He was all ACC, scored about 19 points a game. He was number 5 in assists in the ACC Rookie of the Year. Only the 5th freshman selected to the first team all ACC. Joe Smith, Kenny Anderson have done that, but Marbury may be, I guess he will be, as far as point guards go in this league, and maybe you compare him to his predecessors like Kenny Anderson at that place, the best of the bunch.
Well, he has a great feel for the game. He gets everyone involved. He not only can score, shoot the threes, he's an excellent defender, and then he can make the pass in traffic.
Stephon Marbury is taken by the Milwaukee Bucks, number 4 overall in the first round, and he is standing by now with Craig Sager. Craig?
Well, Stefan, it's always an emotional scene in the back room there when you get drafted. But I tell you, when we saw your family sitting there hugging everybody, the tears coming to your mother Mabel's eyes, tears coming down your face. Did anybody in your family sleep last night? What was it like?
I can't even explain the way I feel right now. It's been 20 years. 20 long years. We waited for this day. And it's here. It's here now.
Can I take your head off a second? What has this been talked about in your family? What has it been like?
I mean, we sit around long, tired, effortless nights, just sitting there thinking about when that day was going to come. And for it to be here now, it just feels so good. I can put a permanent smile on my mother's face.
Also buy her that greenhouse for her plants.
Oh yeah, she's gonna have that nice big greenhouse. Of course.
Last night we talked about the NBA. We said New York has leaders, politics, point guards. What does an NBA point guard mean to you? What's the definition?
A leader, a person that's gonna make everyone around him better, sacrifice, do everything that it takes to win.
Well, the Marberries have arrived. Nice talking to the Starberry. Congratulations. Good luck. Ernie?
Well, that's what the NBA draft is all about, isn't it, folks? The emotion overcoming Stephon Marbury, taken in the first round by the Milwaukee Bucks. He's the first Georgia Tech point guard to lead the team in scoring since Mark Price. An inside look, too, first Hubie Brown, an inside look at what he is able to do on the court, his quickness.
Well, you're going to see him come down the floor here right now and change directions quickly and come right into traffic behind the back. The quick move, and now the big step. Now, once he gets down in here, he has the ability to make the pass in traffic, finding the free people, making everyone a better player.
There's also tears of joys out there in Milwaukee from Vin Baker and Glenn Robinson, because now they've got someone, although Sherman Douglas is an excellent point guard, they've got someone who can not only defend, but get them the ball consistently off penetration.
How about the Minnesota Timberwolves? They're on the clock now with about a minute and a half to go in their 5-minute span to make a pick. Where do you go if you're the Timberwolves, Hubie?
Well, there's a number of ways. I mean, you say, well, at the forward position, you already have Garnett and Gugliotta. You have Lang at the center. But it's like what Peter said up on top. We have no idea what is going on behind the scenes now. They might draft someone here, and that person is going someplace else. You have no idea what they have in their formula.
Let's check in with our correspondent on the Midwest Division. That is Jim Durham in Dallas. What's up with Minnesota?
I tell you what, Ernie, as you know, the Minnesota Timberwolves were guard shopping going into this draft. They had hoped to perhaps trade up and get a Marbury, or perhaps maybe they'll trade down and get someone else. But as Peter Bessie said earlier, it would appear that Antoine Walker would be their pick there. Now, there's an interesting sidebar to this issue. When he went to Minnesota to have the workout, he went one-on-one with John Wallace. And I understand Coach Pitino, Antoine Walker won. And maybe you can address that.
What do you think, Rick?
Well, you know, Antoine Walker is a terrific basketball player. He's, I think, going to be in 5 years one of the best players in this draft. I'm not sure he's going to Minnesota, certainly, but that remains to be seen. Peter said that they might trade him. I hope they trade him back to Kentucky.
I don't think it's going to happen. Let's go down to the podium to the Commissioner David Stern with Minnesota's pick at number 5.
With the 5th pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the Minnesota Timberwolves select Ray Allen from the University of Connecticut.
So the parade of underclassmen continues here in the first round. Ray Allen, the junior, out of UConn. Bit of a surprise here, guys? Or does this tell us something about what Minnesota might be thinking in the J.R. Ryder position?
Well, yeah, you have J.R. Ryder. You also have Doug West, 2 excellent players. Doug West can play small forward as well as the 2-guard position. And that's why we say we have no idea what Kevin McHale is doing. And we also know that Kevin McHale is brazen and also will get out there, and he's been very creative since he has become the head of the basketball operations.
Yes, if this is not what they need. They were looking at the point guard center position, and they drafted a great shooting guard. So this looks like it may be a trade in the works, or he just is very happy with Ray Allen.
Yeah, there sure was a lot of talk earlier about Minnesota coveting Steve Nash, also a point guard, so we'll see what happens here down the road. But Ray Allen is their pick. Number 5 in the first round, 6'5", 198, and the Big East Player of the Year, 23.4 points a game. He was second to Allen Iverson in the conference in scoring. UPI's National Player of the Year. He knocked down some three-pointers, too. Hit 47% to lead the Big East, and his 115 threes on the year was a UConn record. Question about whether he'd be able to take some guys off the dribble. Is that a legitimate concern about what he can do?
Oh, that's a major concern, except he has range, Ernie, and this draft, you're looking for guys who can make the outside shots. He's an excellent three-point shooter. He's a good kid, and he's a terrific finisher in the open floor.
A Husky goes to the Timberwolves, the number 5 pick overall in the first round, and Ray Allen is with Craig.
Well, Ernie, this is kind of a surprise. Everywhere that Ray Allen interviewed, he made a very favorable impression. Everybody loved him. Senator Cole wants him to run his campaign. I asked him where he was going. You said you didn't know. And here you're picked by a team where you didn't even interview.
It's very interesting because Donyell Marshall went to Minnesota, and I never thought I'd make it to Minnesota, but Minnesota's a great city, and they have a great organization, and I'll be ready to play there next year.
When I talked to you in Chicago, you came off Player of the Year honors, had a great season, but you said you had to work on all aspects of your game. Why?
Well, because going to the NBA, I think I have to step it up a notch everywhere. I can't settle for the skills that I displayed in college. I think the NBA is another level, and I definitely have to improve a lot and work very hard.
Well, this is a moment brought your whole family together.
Yes, it has, and it's great to see my mother, my father, all my sisters, and my daughter back in the green room having a good time together.
Okay, good luck. Let's go back to Ernie.
There is Flo Allen, Ray's mom. Go ahead, smile. It's all right. The number 5 pick in the first round. And there is Walter Allen, Ray's dad. An inside look now at Ray Allen, Hubie, and we've talked about his ability to shoot from the outside, deadly from three-point range, and see if that translates into the pros.
Well, that is definitely his strong suit. He has the ability to come off and screens, make the catch, and then have the range. He does not need the dribble to make the three-pointer. That is key at the NBA level. Plus, what you like is the athletic ability, and he's very coachable.
Ray Allen, the number 5 pick in the draft, taken by the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Boston Celtics are up next. We'll be back as the draft continues after this. And welcome back to Continental Airlines Arena, East Rutherford, New Jersey, in the 1996 NBA Draft, continuing here on TNT. If you're just joining us, we are in the first round. We are up to pick 6. The Boston Celtics have it. If you're Boston, what are you thinking right now, Hubie?
Well, you have to say, all we have right now, we lost Eric Montross in a trade. All you have at the center position is Purvis Ellison. Everyone else is a free agent. But the small forward position, you have Antoine Walker. Now, you can move Rick Fox to the backcourt, play Eric Williams and Antoine Walker.
Boston moving from number 9 to number 6 with the trade with Dallas. Celtics are now ready, and so is the commissioner.
With the 6th pick in the 1996 NBA Draft, the Boston Celtics select Antoine Walker from the University of Kentucky.
I wish we had somebody on the set who knew something about this guy. Oh, we do. Rick, how's it make you feel to see this guy go?
This young man came out, a brash high school young man, and was the key to our championship. His maturity level and advancement was sensational. I'm so happy he's drafted by Boston. I was kind of hoping for Boston, the Clippers of New Jersey. I felt they needed him the most. He can play power forward, small forward, can even bring it up and play a little point forward.
Bittersweet at all for you, though?
Oh, I'm so happy for him. This young man helped us win a championship. Made all our dreams come true. Now they're crying backstage. The family and everybody in Kentucky, including myself, are crying for other reasons because we hate to see this young man leave us.
Any weakness in his game, do you feel?
No, I really feel he's improved defensively. He can play both. What people don't realize, he can play a little power forward. He has a great post-up game. Has to become a little bit more consistent shooter, but a great competitor. Wants to beat you at a game of horse.
Nice anticipation he also has, in the Final Four, in the semifinal game and in the finals. 4 steals in each of those games. The guy has quickness and smarts on the court. And Antoine Walker on his way to the Boston Celtics. There you see the bio on him, 6'10" and 234. Take me through his game, Coach.
Well, he's got a great low post game, much improved. He reminds me of Magic Johnson in the open floor. Now, they have the graphic at 6'10". We recruited him at 6'8". Somewhere at the end of the championship to the draft in Chicago, he grew 2 inches. That's how much potential this young man has. But he does have a terrific all-around game. The Boston Celtics got themselves a great, potentially basketball player because of the way he can score and pass.
Just 19 years old right now, will turn 20 on August 12th. Antoine Walker picked by the Boston Celtics, and he's with Craig Sager.
All right, first of all, Rick Pitino, he's up there raving about your talents, talking about how great you were, what you did for Kentucky. Why couldn't he talk you into staying?
He tried. I mean, Coach knew it was best for me. The best situation for me was to come out right now, and, you know, he bagged me 100%.
He only played you 23 minutes a game. What happens now when you go to a 48-minute game with a 24-second shot clock?
It's very difficult to play 30 minutes in our system. 23 minutes is a long time in our system. You know, it's going to be a big adjustment for me going to the NBA, but I feel very confident in making that adjustment.
On behalf of Larry Bird, who had a lot to do with your selection and all the Celtic fans, compliments on the Taylor, the green. It looks good on you already.
Yeah, it's, I guess I made the right decision. I didn't have no idea I was going to the Celtics, but I feel very happy and with them picking me.
Celtic green is here. Kentucky blue. Sorry, Rick, it's gone.
Yeah, when the college days are over, he's into the pros now, and he must have known something. Wearing the green, Antoine Walker goes to the Boston Celtics.
I think he was putting on the green for the color of money, Ernie. I didn't know. Celtics.
There you go.
If that were the case, there'd be a lot of green suits in here tonight. Next up, it's the LA Clippers. Let's go to our correspondent on the Pacific Division in Phoenix. That is Scott Hastings. What's up with the Clips, Scotty?
Well, Ernie, I know you're dying to know what's going on with the Clips. Little news. Rick Pitino just said it. Ray Allen, look for him to be traded. Some people speculate Portland. But look for him to go to Milwaukee, to Milwaukee for Stephon Marbury, and Minnesota will get Marbury, and something else will be given a lot of her stuff. But those two, Ray Allen and Marbury, should be exchanged either today or sometime in the near future. Watch that. As far as the Clippers, what do they know? Since '85, they've had 7 lottery picks, only 1 guy's on the team. Since '82, they've had 13 first-round players chosen, only 2 are on the team. Right now, Bill Fitch has locked his assistant coaches out of the war room, not letting them give any advice at all. He likes Potapinko. I said that correct, Ernie. Aren't you proud of me? Another guy, Dampier, is somebody they like. And look maybe for Kerry Kettles. He was really impressive in their workouts.
Wow, if you're a marketing guy and he goes to the Clippers, you got Kittles and Fitch. Wouldn't that be nice? Anyway, thank you very much, Scott Hastings, for the report from Phoenix on the Pacific Division. Let's go now to Peter Vesey. What's your take on what Scotty had to say, and what else are you hearing, Peter?
I think he's got something there. When you're making predictions like I am, I was always taught you got to have a cover story. So they definitely got something going. They didn't draft him to keep him. They need a point guard. So it's either going to be for Marbury, but I suspect it's for Rod Strickland out in Portland. I think the Blazers really need that shooting guard, and Kevin McHale had no one else to give him. As far as the Clippers go, I believe they're going to go for Lorenzo Wright. Brian Williams is a free agent. They must have insurance in case they can't re-sign him. As for the Nets in the next slot, I think they're going to go for Kerry Kittles. But if they've got the courage, I know John Calipari loves Kobe Bryant. Go for it, John.
I assume that John is watching, and if not, we'll certainly pass the word along to him that Peter says Kobe Bryant is the guy to go to.
Isn't it easier when you're sitting on a set?
Oh, believe me.
And if he doesn't pick Kobe, the Post is killing him tomorrow.
That's right. Or not being locked out of a war room on draft night. How's that for what's going on with the Clippers? What do you see if you're Bill Fitch here, and what do you need out in L.A.?
Now, the fact that they have to look at the situation with Brian Williams. Stanley Roberts is an excellent player if he's healthy, but he has never been healthy since he's been there. If Brian Williams goes, they have to protect themselves with someone who can play the center position.
They're talking about Lorenzo Wright. Is that a possibility? What's your thoughts on it?
I think so right now, but this is a tough pick. This is the toughest pick so far because now it gets a little touchy.
Well, I talk about the LA Clippers, and on paper, these guys look pretty good because you got a lot of guys who went high in the draft, 9 top 15s. There's Bones up there at the top who won the slam dunk. Brent Barry, Lamont Murray, Piatkowski, Rogers, DeHare, Seeley, Brian Williams, Loy Vaught, and Pooh Richardson. Who will the Clippers add to that list? Let's go down to the commissioner, David Stern. And obviously, Commissioner David Stern not quite ready for the Clippers, whose time has expired. They are set to go. Who else? Again, let's just dissect what the Clippers need, what Bill Fitch does here. And you look at the list of players they have had who have been pretty high draft choices.
Well, yeah, you look at Potapenko, then you also have Dampier, and then you have Lorenzo Wright. It comes down to which guy you like the best.
The commissioner is ready, as you
With
see.
the 7th pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the Los Angeles Clippers select Lorenzo Wright from the University of Memphis.
Well, the record continues here on draft night. That's 7 underclassmen in a row to start off the draft. Lorenzo Wright of Memphis, the latest. His dad is Herb. He's the head women's coach at Shelby State Community College in Memphis. Played some pro ball in Finland. His mom, Deborah. And Lorenzo Wright, the 6'11", 225-pound sophomore out of Memphis. The 7th pick in the first round by the Los Angeles Clippers.
You know that at the center position, Ernie, he only goes at 230 pounds. They're going to have to bulk him up if he's going to play there. You know that Clipper team plays an awful lot of close games. They've improved. They have a lot of first-round picks. They play with a passion, but what they need is someone to get them over the hump in the last 2 minutes. The people who can get the shot block, get the key rebound. But once again, they're adding another quality type of a guy. But for people to think that he's going to step in and overpower guys at only 6'11", 230, no, he needs to change his body.
He needs to go in the weight room. But this is a great addition. Bill Fitch did just a wonderful job with this Clipper team last year. And this young man has great upside. He like Marcus Camby, he's got to live in the weight room. That's got to be a big offseason for him.
There's been a question mark, too, about a stress fracture with this guy, too. How much of a concern is that, Hugh?
Yeah, well, the main thing is, you know, where is the stress fracture? And then also, what are the doctors predicting? They're saying that he's going to be in a cast for 6 weeks. It happened in a pickup game. But no one questions this guy's talent. He is a hard worker. He gets after it. The coaches love them there. No one says that this guy doesn't give it to you night in and night out.
Around Memphis, they called him the Howl for the noise he made on the two-hand tomahawk jam, and now the Howl is coming to the NBA in the LA Clipper uniform. He's with Craig Sager.
Well, first of all, Lorenzo, the extent of the injury, I know obviously you don't feel it's serious. What have the doctors told you? What did the Clippers tell you?
Well, the doctors all told me that I'll be all right and it'll heal on its own. The only thing I have to do is take my time off and get prepared and get ready to play. And by the time of the season, I'll be ready to play, and you know, I'm going to work hard.
Where you come from has a lot to do with the player you become. Memphis, a hotbed for basketball. What was it like growing up? What do you feel about that city?
Well, there's a lot of good players that's coming out of Memphis, and still is coming out of Memphis now. A bunch of guys are coming out of high school. Tony Harrison, name a few, and you know, it's a basketball city.
What do you think about the Clippers?
I think they have a very good team. I'm going to work hard for them and try to win a championship down there.
Work hard, that's the key. Hubie Brown says nobody works harder than you. You can't get a better compliment. Good luck.
Right, thanks, I appreciate it.
Ernie?
All right, Segs. Anna Mae Wright, that is Lorenzo Wright's grandmother. Yeah, get the tissues out. Big night as Lorenzo Wright has taken the 7th pick by the Los Angeles Clippers. His coach in college at Memphis was Larry Finch. Let's hear from Larry Finch on the kind of player he had in Lorenzo Wright.
6'11", can run the floor like a deer, like a little man. He got the quickness of a little guy. Just plays hard all the time. He's relentless when he goes out on the floor. He just gets after it all the time. And this is one of the things that the professional teams like about him, because he brings a lot of energy to a program. That's what I love about having him here. I wish I had him back.
Yes, I bet he does. And so we have reached the number 8 pick in the first round. And it's the New Jersey Nets, and you can feel kind of a buzz going through the arena here at Continental Airlines Arena. You see the time on the AT&T draft clock coming down to 2 minutes to go. And we talked about the possibilities for John Calipari here. Would he have the guts to take a kid like Kobe Bryant? What are your thoughts?
Well, it's not the guts. We all know Kobe Bryant's going to be a great player. But what I learned a long time ago about the NBA, when I said this to Hubie Brown as his assistant, I said, Hubie, 4 or 5 years down the road, we're going to have ourselves a great basketball player. He said, kid, let's win next year. Let's not worry about 4 or 5 years. We don't know where we're going to be. So I think he's got to go with Kerry Kittles because he has to win and shoot right away, and he's got a 4-year basketball player.
Let's talk about the strengths and the needs of the New Jersey Nets and new head coach John Calipari.
Well, Ernie, they have to improve their shooting, okay? Their shooting is right at the bottom of the league. They have the rebounding and shot blocking here. Kendall Gill hopefully will be healthy for them next year. If you go with Kittles or Kobe Bryant, you're adding another perimeter shooter, but most of all, a three-point shooter. When you have inside power guys, you must complement them with the range factor.
You got to point out the fact that Sean Bradley came to this team and did a tremendous job, and now they're trying to add to that mix. They've had a lot of guys going after Sean Bradley. They're saying now teams know enough to not ask about the Storm and Mormon. Let's go to the commissioner for the Nets pick.
With the 8th pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the New Jersey Nets select Kerry Kittles from Villanova University.
Well, if you're John Calipari, you got to like what you hear in your own arena right here. Fans seem to like that one.
Well, they know that they're getting a proven scorer. They had an opportunity to watch him play in the Big East here in this building against Seton Hall. So you know that you get a guy who's been able to put up over 30 points and over 35 points on some nights. Now, is he an unselfish player? Yes. Can he score in the open floor? Great quickness, finishing ability, and he's got range.
And good defensive player, good size. You can't post him up. He's a legitimate 6'5", 6'6", and he fits the needs of the New Jersey Nets. Their weaknesses, they can't shoot from the perimeter. He opens up the inside game and stops the double downs.
Those fans came prepared, thinking Kerry Kittles might be the first pick of the New Jersey Nets, and there you see.
Another Villanova graduate, Rory Sparrow.
And for the first time, the New Jersey fans get a look at their first round pick, Kerry Kittles. And some hopeful Nets fans with Calipari and New Jersey a perfect fit. Kerry Kittles, only 177 pounds, but tall at 6'5", playing the 2-guard. Lawrence Moten of Syracuse and Ray Allen of UConn join this guy, the only Big East players to rank in the top 15 in 7 statistical categories. Kind of tells you about the versatility of Kerry Kittles.
As you look at his form, you can see he can release the ball quickly. He's got excellent rotation, excellent technique. This young man fits really well for the New Jersey needs, as we just stated. Now, obviously, he's going to have to get stronger physically for the NBA because he'll get punished in the low post if he doesn't.
Hubie, there have been comparisons, I guess, to Scottie Pippen and to Reggie Miller and to Del Curry. Where does this guy fit in? Who does he remind you of?
I think he should just try to be Kerry Kittles, with a pro game. Let's stop putting him, into the all-star every year category. But, once again, the quickness is there. So he has size, quickness, and like Rick says, he can defend in the post area, and then you have a perimeter game. That's what they're looking for here. When you have Bradley, and if they re-sign Gilliam, Jason Williams, you don't have to worry about the shot blocking and rebounding. New Jersey is always in the top 3 in all 3 categories.
Kerry Kittles, the first senior to be picked in the 1996 draft, and it comes at the number 8 spot in the first round. Kerry Kittles is with Craig Sick.
Well, it may have been the 8th pick, but obviously it's the most popular choice here at the Meadowlands. First of all, who are all these people with Kerry Kittle signs?
It's all my family from New Orleans and Florida. Everybody just came to support me today. It's a big day for me and my family.
We've seen you have big days in this arena. There are some nights when you throw that ball, it just goes in. Other nights you don't have that luck. What's it like to be in that zone, and how do you play in this building?
It's great to be in that zone. All players love to have that feeling going for them. Their shots falling, and they get into rhythm. And playing here in the Meadowlands is great for me. Being down the street from Philadelphia, Villanova, and my family, and it's just great to be in this kind of area, in this environment.
Obviously, the Nets need a shooting guard. Have you had a chance to talk to some people around here, some of your teammates I see in the stands, like Sean Bradley and a couple others, Jason Williams?
I haven't spoken with them yet, but, Coach Calipari spoke with me on many occasions and told me, hey, you're the guy we're looking to bring in. Hopefully you can add, what we need and, have the right attitude and, make things happen here in New Jersey.
Well, popular choice so far of the night, Kerry Kittles to the Nets. Ernie.
Thanks, Ziggs, as you might expect here at Continental Airlines Arena. And we'll be back here as the NBA draft continues right after this. And we're about an hour deep into the 1996 NBA draft here on TNT. We have gone through 8 picks. The number 9 pick belongs to the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavs are up after just seeing New Jersey pick Kerry Kittles. And here's Commissioner David Stern.
With the 9th pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the Dallas Mavericks select Samaki Walker from the University of Louisville.
Hey, best lid of the night, without question so far, belongs to Samaki Walker. The Louisville Cardinals sophomore, another early entry candidate. So 9 picks have been made, 8 have been early entries. And Rick Pitino, you're saying this is a guy maybe underrated in some circles.
Very much so. This is a great pick. Matter of fact, I called him just 3-4 weeks ago and told him it was a great idea for him to come out right after Denny Crum called Antoine Walker. So this is really a terrific pick. Samaki Walker is, because we haven't seen a lot of him because of some of the problems that went on this year for him. This is a great pick for Dallas. It fits their needs, along with the rebounding, strong, bulky player they need inside.
Yeah, they need a physical force, Ernie. This guy is a legit 6'9", 240 pounds, can play 2 positions for you because of the bulk factor. He has a low power inside game and an excellent shot blocker.
He averaged 15 points a game, 7.5 rebounds in 21 games. And as you mentioned, missed 10 because of an NCAA investigation. He did record the only triple-double in school history. And by golly, it came against Kentucky.
We didn't get anywhere near the rim that night. He just kept blocking it. Yeah. He really is an outstanding prospect. I think Dallas made a great pick here. I think he's going to prove to be exactly what they need.
See, Dallas has to shore up the defense, Ernie. They've got to get more. They've got to get bigger with bulk inside and guys who can hold their area defensively. This was a good pick.
Among the things that Dallas is trying to get done right now, some turmoil in Big D in the past week with Jim Jackson and the rest. But Samaki Walker is the pick of the Mavs, and he's with Craig.
Well, when Hubie Brown says this guy doesn't have to change anything, I say congratulations to the Dallas Mavericks. First of all, what do you expect to accomplish in your rookie year?
First of all, I like to accomplish. There's a lot of young guys coming out, and I think there's a lot of speculations with people thinking that, we have a lot to prove, which is true. I like to come out and show that I can come in and help the Dallas organization on and off the court, be a role model, be mature. Coming out early, there's a lot to prove, and I want to be the guy that they can prove on and count on to help make the Dallas organization a better program and help represent the league.
People around the league were raving about your workouts. Did you have a good one in Dallas? What do you remember? What was it like?
After talking to them, they think I really had a good workout, and they were pretty impressed, and I guess they thought so. So I guess I'm here, which I'm happy to be. I'd like to thank the Dallas organization.
You left your derby hat before you met with the commissioner.
I'm a Mavericks now, so this is it's more important.
All right, congratulations. Back to the set.
And you saw his mom, Patricia, backstage. Samaki Walker picked by the Dallas Mavericks. Let's go to our Midwest Division correspondent, Jim Durham, who is in Dallas. Jim, what's up?
Tell you what, Ernie, I've got Jim Clemens here with me. Samaki Walker, the pick of the Dallas Mavericks. This is a Dallas pick, I take it.
It's a Dallas pick. We're very happy with our choice in the selection, and we're anxious to have him here.
Of the players that you considered, what did you like about Walker?
Well, I think Samaki will bring to the table a little bit of versatility. He's big, he's strong, he's more athletic. He'll get time to grow.
People around the country, of course, still concerned with the 3 J's issue. What's the public posture today?
Well, we're looking forward to adding Samaki to our roster. We think that the 3 J's will show up and play, and we're going to be very competitive next season.
Are the Mavericks going to be involved in the trade wins before the draft is over?
Well, I think we're going to stay competitive in the marketplace, and anything's subject to happen.
All right, Jim Clemens. Let's go back to EJ.
All right, JD and Jim Clemens, thank you very much for your time out there in Dallas, where Samaki Walker is the pick of the Dallas Mavericks. Now the Indiana Pacers are next, and Hubie Brown, this is a team that's really in transition, and there's some question marks. Of course, Reggie Miller's a question mark, Antonio and Dale Davis, and you made a couple of trades. Mark Jackson is gone. What is your feeling on Indiana?
Well, I think Indiana must protect themselves so that in case they lose one of the Davis boys, you have to have a quality guy, size-wise, at that position to either back up Rick Smits or play the power forward position.
You know, the Ricky Pierce thing did not work out. He's gone. Mark Jackson gone. You pick up Jalen Rose in there. Unfulfilled potential right now for Jalen Rose on that Indiana team.
Yeah, well, Jalen Rose can play a number of 3 positions: small forward, 2 guard, point guard. But more important, they're probably playing him at the 3. If they play him at the 3, you brought in Reggie Williams also in that trade. That gives you a shooter to come in as a backup 2 guard, a guy who has 3-point range, and that was a good choice. But now, if you're Larry Brown and you're looking at this, you have got to protect yourself with size and strength.
The 10th pick in the NBA draft belongs to the Indiana Pacers. Let's go to the commissioner.
With the 10th pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the Indiana Pacers select Eric Dampier from Mississippi State University.
The first center selected in the 1996 NBA draft, Eric Dampier of Mississippi State. Another guy that Rick Pitino will know quite well. Kentucky's battles with Mississippi State.
Very strong, powerful basketball player. Certainly surprises me a little bit with the pick. What remains to be seen, they need backup help, obviously, physically, what Yubi just mentioned. But this young man is powerful, very strong. Weakness, obviously, is not going to shoot great from the foul line, but they made themselves an excellent pick. Now, how do they fit him into their system?
That's a good question. How do you do it?
Well, first of all, Rick Smits never plays during the 82 games, never plays more than 28 to 30 minutes. You still have to fill in here now, you know, another 18 to 20 minutes every night. Now, if you lose one of the Davis boys, you have got to have a quality body, because Indiana does not want to fall to the bottom of that division. This is a team that's talking with a lot of pride. They thought if they were healthy at playoff time, totally healthy, that they could have been in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Eric Dampier, big number 25 from Mississippi State. Questions on his offensive skills, but not about his heart, not about his ability to rebound, block some shots inside. Eric Dampier going to the Indiana Pacers as he makes a top 10, the 10th pick in the NBA draft. And the big fella is with Greg.
Well, so often we speculate about where the players can get drafted. I talked to you, Indiana was never mentioned. Are you surprised?
Yeah, it's a big surprise to me. You know, I ain't never. Each player to know what to expect, you know, and Indiana's a real good team. You know, I'm looking to take a lot to the team and do as much as I can. Maybe we can get a couple extra wins.
Well, Coach Brown over there was talking about the fact that Dale Davis, Antoine Davis, both of their contracts are up. Rick Smits only plays about 28 minutes a game. A chance to step right in. You obviously have the size and strength for the NBA.
Yeah, I think it's my work ethic. If I go out and work hard every day to get better, you know, I really develop into a good player. My offensive game has come along, and they have a really good team, so I'm looking forward to it.
Well, if you're coachable, you have Larry Brown as one of the best. What do you have to work on offensively?
I think I work on my offensive move every day, just getting used to them, just going up against good players in the NBA. It's going to make me a better player, so I'm looking forward to it.
Hey, congratulations. Ernie?
All right, thank you, Segs. Well, in this building, March Madness culminated with the Final Four, and in the semifinals, Kentucky took on UMass. And a couple of good friends squared off in that one, John Calipari and Rick Pitino. Kentucky won it, went on to win the national championship, and then when talk of the New Jersey coaching vacancy came up, those two good friends were front and center.
Should I stay or should I go now?
It was a wonderful offer by some people that I call friends. But I've just been too happy in Kentucky for 7 years to look at anything else.
Should I stay or should I go now?
My goal is to create a love affair between this organization and the fans in New Jersey. And that's what we've got to do. And I also want to thank Rick for not taking this job.
Should I stay or should I go?
You know, if I'm Sally, Jesse, Raphael, I'm asking you two guys to hug right now. I mean, good friends, and joining us on the set now, the new head coach of the New Jersey Nets, John Calipari. John, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
How's this night been?
Well, this has been interesting. I said I was under some pressure when we were playing Rick
Let me tell you what, there was some pressure in that room because you don't know who's going before you. Those next 2 picks made it interesting, but we got the player we wanted. We've dabbled with some other guys, but that was a guy that I felt very good about and could play 2 positions. You know, we really want to re-sign Chris Childs, but it's a problem if we can't, and I worry about that, and I think this gives us some movement at 1 and 2.
John, were you not listening to Peter Vesey when he said Kobe Bryant is your guy? Where did Kobe Bryant enter the equation?
Well, we really like Kobe, and I think he's going to be a terrific player, and I think he's going to be a terrific player in the NBA. But for us right now, where we are and what we needed, I felt in the end it was Kerry Kittles.
And really, you'll read about it tomorrow in Peter's column.
Hey, when you look at your situation, John and Rick, both, this question to you guys. What was it that said, I'm staying at Kentucky? What said, I want to leave you?
Well, I coached 4 years in the NBA, and I say this all the time, and not just because he's here. I learned more basketball in the 2 years with UB Brown than I've had in 30 years I've been around this game. And for me, that was the greatest learning experience of my life. Then to go on to be a head coach and try to go against some of the greatest coaches in the land was even more beneficial. John needed that experience. I've already been through that experience. So I think for him, it's a dream of a lifetime. He'll do a wonderful job here in New Jersey, and they're very lucky to have him.
John, the toughest thing for you to do right now, coming cold into the NBA.
I don't know who my team is. You know, you can't really prepare because we were going in not knowing who we were going to draft. You have to draft without knowing who you're going to re-sign or who you're going to try to sign as a free agent. We know in college, or we knew who your team was going to be next year. That's the hardest thing for me, and I think that's what I have to go with.
John Calipari, thank you very much for joining us. Good luck in your first season.
Thank you very much.
Good luck, John.
Let's go down to the commissioner. There's a trade and a pick.
Milwaukee conveys the draft rights to Stephon Marbury to Minnesota in exchange for the draft rights to Ray Allen and a future first-round draft pick. Moving right along, with the 11th pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the Golden State Warriors select Todd Fuller from North Carolina State University.
So no centers were chosen in the first 9 picks of the draft, and then we go back-to-back centers with Eric Dampier going to Indiana and Todd Fuller going to Golden State with the 11th pick.
Ernie, you have to look at this and say they were very high on Fuller right from the beginning. You're dealing with a guy who was overshadowed in the ACC by Duncan and Wallace during his career. He improved every year. He averaged over 20 points this year. He's mobile enough that he can play 2 positions for you. Kevin Willis is a free agent at the center position. Ronnie Cycli is still under contract. But what you're getting here is a young guy who has really improved his game from year to year to year.
And a quality guy, too, a GPA of close to a perfect 4 at NC State. And you talk about being overshadowed to a degree by Tim Duncan. He scored 30 against him as a junior. He has his moments.
He is very much overlooked in the evaluations of a lot of people, but he should not have been overlooked. This young man can flat out play in a great from a great conference, and I think Golden State made a smart pick by getting this young man because he again fills the need of this basketball team.
Pretty good range with the jumper, too.
Yeah, we see that's what's good, Ernie. See, he has the hook, he has the jumper facing, and then he has the turnaround moves. Now, of course, he's going to have, some problems that he has to work on. Naturally, he's got to bulk up a little bit if he's going to play strictly center for them. But once again, now you look at that Golden State, when that team is healthy, they have a lot of guys with talent.
Yeah. Now, he may have an affinity for playing defense, too. Bobby Jones coached him in high school. Let's go back to the trade here real quick. The Marbury deal. Your take on this thing. And Marbury likes Kevin Garnett. Now he goes to Minnesota.
Well, it's great for Minnesota. We talked about a possible trade at that time. We also brought out the point that Milwaukee likes Ray Allen. They needed range. Rick brought out the point they already have Sherman Douglas, and he has 2 more years on his contract. So, you know, I could see it happen.
And they really loved the character. Not that they didn't love the character, Stephon Marbury. Ray Allen really impressed them. And the other thing they looked at, Stephon Marbury stays 3 years. He's from a big city. Does he still want to stay in Milwaukee when the 3 years are up? And that has to be a factor.
So we've had the ceremonial switch of hats over there, and the trade, Stephon Marbury to Minnesota for Ray Allen, who goes to Milwaukee. Todd Fuller was just picked by Golden State. He is standing by now with Craig Sager.
All right, first of all, you go from Charlotte Christian High School to NC State as a freshman. You average only 5 points a game. 3 years later, you lead the ACC in scoring. You're #1 pick. What happened?
Well, I was just persistent through it over the years. I got better and better each and every year. And I stayed with my strengths, but at the same time, I continued to develop my weaknesses in my game.
You're a math major. The Warriors won only 36 games last year. How do you change their team?
Well, first of all, I think I can come in right away and help at the center position, help with Ronnie Cycli, and also add some rebounding to that team. In addition to that, I believe, depending on the matchup situation for a particular game, I can also help out a power forward as well.
Sad to leave Carolina?
No, I'm looking forward to the opportunity to go to California. I enjoyed my visit out there, and it was a productive visit. I look forward to the opportunity to go out to Golden State.
Good luck with the Warriors. Ernie?
All right, Greg Todd Fuller heads to the Bay Area. Next up, the Cleveland Cavaliers, another team that need him some size up front. Let's go to Cheryl Miller, who's covering the Central Division, and she is in Cleveland. Cheryl, so good to see you again.
Thanks a lot, Ernie. But you just mentioned that the Cavs definitely need some size, and definitely look for both of those 2 picks to go for some big men. Right now, when I spoke to Mike Fratello yesterday, he was a little concerned about when the pick came around for the 12th pick that some quality big men would not be there. He said if that was the case, that they would try to go with some smaller people. If that's the case, it might go with the smaller big men. Look at Potapinko or John Wallace.
All right, Cheryl, thank you very much. Cheryl Miller joining us from Gund Arena in Cleveland, where Mike Fratello has about 1 minute and 20 seconds to go before making his pick, the 12th of the first round. The Cleveland Cavaliers, is this an obvious need? You got to get big?
You have to get big mainly because Brad Daugherty just retired. And that was a major hole for this basketball team. Now, you have good people, but no major size guys. You have guys at 6'9", 6'10". They play to their maximum night in and night out. You must increase the depth of size and length.
The Cleveland Cavaliers on the board, and the commissioner is ready with their pick.
With the 12th pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers select Vitaly Potapenko from Wright State University.
Wright State University by way of Kiev, Ukraine. The Ukraine train, they call him.
You look at him right now, Ernie, and you say he's sleek. When he was playing during the college season, he weighed 310 pounds. By the time he went to the camp in Chicago, he was down to 270. No player in the Chicago draft helped themselves more than that young man. He was one of the top scorers in the camp. He was the only center who could score with his back to the basket in every single session. Great hands, good shooting touch, and all business.
And definitely we have a weight look book on the horizon very shortly. That's Rob.
Vitaly Potapenko down to 277 pounds. Yeah, pass that book around. 6'9.5", 277. And this is a guy who put up some pretty good numbers. Nearly 21 points a game, 7 rebounds, despite the fact he was double and triple teamed a lot.
Now, what you have to like about him, Ernie, is he has excellent hands. But he has a knack of knowing where to go as a big man. When a man would leave him to double team in Chicago, he always found the hole. And then when he was hit with the pass, he can finish. There is no doubt this guy can play facing the basket, with his back to the basket. He really has a high IQ.
So even if you are double or triple teaming him, you can't double or triple team a train, you get run over. And he's the next pick, Vitaly Potapenko, by the Cleveland Cavaliers of Mike Fratello. And here's Craig Sager.
Well, the Ukraine train has been logging more miles than Amway, I think, in Amtrak. You told me that you went, what, 12 different visits. You're happy to go to Cleveland, though.
It was about 11 different teams, 11 different cities, 5 on West Coast and 6 on West Coast and 6 and 5 on East side, you know, and I enjoyed all the visits. I met different people, different coaching staff, but it was enjoyable.
What about Mike Fratello and the Cavs?
Oh, I enjoy work with him, and I have good workout at Cleveland Cavaliers, and I'm looking forward. I was looking forward, and right now I'm very excited to play for him and play with great players like Terrell Brandon and young players, Bob Shura, and they have other very good players.
We mentioned the off-season conditioning. You lost 25 pounds. Why?
Because, you know, I had to lose weight. I was thinking, you know, to build up more muscle mass. You know, I was lifting a lot, but since I lost weight, I feel much better on my feet, moving quicker, and it's helped me a lot.
Certainly has. Congratulations. Vitaly Potapenko. Let's go back to Ernie.
All right, Segs. Vitaly Potapenko of Ukraine teaming up with the Tsar in Cleveland. Up next, the Charlotte Hornets. Back at you in a minute. Sphere continues here at the Continental Airlines Arena. The NBA draft continuing in the first round. We are up to the 13th pick. Here's the commissioner.
With the 13th pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the Charlotte Hornets select Kobe Bryant from Lower Merion High School in Pennsylvania.
A coming out party for the high school kid. Kobe Bryant meeting with the approval of that Charlotte fan in attendance here. And Hubie, this is a guy whose stock has risen every time he's tried out. People like this kid.
Well, everyone writing when he first came out, well, he's going to have to bulk up. This guy is 200 pounds. That's 6'6". He is an offensive whiz. He's very, very talented. He has all pro moves. And when you look at him, you're talking about a young man with range. He can go off the dribble. He can get his shot. And in every place that he worked out, nothing but raves. No one talking about any shortness or a weakness in his game.
Jerry West told me today that greatness lies ahead for this young man. Thought he was going to be absolutely fantastic. I recruited him out of high school, and certainly I believe everything he said in this man's ability. He is just flat out going to be outstanding. It's going to take him a little time, though, because he's going from high school, skipping college, into a very physical game.
All he did was average 31 points a game his senior year. His team won the state title with 31 wins and 3 losses, and he eclipsed the scoring mark of Wilt Chamberlain in Pennsylvania. This kid has got it all.
Yeah, you get the package, and I think what you like best about him, everyone says that he makes everyone else around him a better player. And he's a winning style guy. We realize that there's a lot to overcome when you come right out of high school. But if anyone has a good chance, this young man is blessed with outstanding offensive skills.
His dad, Joe Jellybean Bryant, was the 14th pick when he was selected. Kobe, number 13. Let's go to Craig Sager.
Well, Kobe, your dad can tell you about the NBA. You can watch every playoff game on TV. But until you go through the workouts, experience yourself, you don't get that firsthand. What was it like for the tryouts? What did you learn?
Well, I learned that you have to work hard and you have to approach the game with a serious mindset. There's a step up from high school, and I understand that. So therefore, every time I step on a basketball court, I'm going to put a strong effort out there on the floor. I'm not going to leave anything on the floor.
You had the grades, you had the scores to go to college. Why the NBA?
It's the ultimate challenge. You know, if I was 40 years old and I'm sitting back and I'm looking back on my career, if I went to college and played on the NBA, maybe I had a great career, maybe not. And I'm still having that doubt in my mind. Could I have answered that challenge? Could I have responded to the challenge of the NBA? And that's something that I didn't want to have on my shoulders, so I just really accepted it.
A year ago was Kevin Garnett sitting where you are. Have you talked to him? What advice has he given you?
He's talked to me. He's told me a lot of stories and a lot of experiences that he was going through. But all in all, he said it has to be your own decision. You know, he said that he can give me a lot of pros and cons, but ultimately it has to be my decision.
Well, here's a copy of The Sting, the official book of the Charlotte Hornets, with your new coach, Dave Cowens, on the cover. Do your homework before you show up at the Hive.
Thank you very much. I'll make sure I will.
All right, congratulations, Ernie.
Wow, Seg's always coming prepared to the NBA draft. Now, you know Joe Jellybean Bryant, we talked about being picked 14th. He's an 8-year NBA veteran and a firm believer in the abilities of his son.
So I think he's a rare breed. There's only been a few players that actually make players around them better. I mean, you look at Magic Johnson and you look at Larry Bird. Even when Michael Jordan came in the league, he really didn't make the people around him better. I mean, he was a superstar player, but you know, I think it takes a certain air to make people around you better, and I think Kobe has that quality.
Kobe Bryant, the high school kid, chosen in the first round, number 13 by the Charlotte Hornets. Let's go down to Peter Vesey. Pete, what's up?
Well, every year somebody drops in this draft. A couple years ago, Wesley Person. Last year, Michael Finley. This year, it's John Wallace. We all praised him for going back to school, and he did everything he was supposed to do. He took Syracuse to the Final Two. He worked on his game. He's fiercely competitive. For whatever reason, he's dropped. Maybe the Suns are supposed to get him as he drops, but maybe the Kings will take him at this slot.
Certainly the story of John Wall is an intriguing one, and I think a lot of people wondering exactly how far he would drop. Let's go down to the commissioner, who's got the 14th pick of the Sacramento Kings.
With the 14th pick in the 1996 NBA Draft, the Sacramento Kings select Predrag Stojakovic from PAOK in Greece.
If he looks young, he is. He's 19 years old, just turned 19, and playing some ball in Greece. Hubie, your thoughts on the talents of Predrag Stojakovic?
Well, it's interesting because in Chicago, when he came in to work out, there are not a lot of people like his talent. They feel he's a small forward at that size. He's an offensive player. He played in Yugoslavia before he became a citizen in Greece. He has played there, and guys, you have to look at Sacramento this way. Billy Owens has an injury which they have to cover themselves for. Lionel Simmons still at that small forward position also. Kevin Gamble is a free agent. So that's what they're doing right here. But it is interesting that they would go with this pick over John Wallace.
I'm a little surprised at that. But, you know, you can't take away. John Wallace was going to be the 17th, 18th pick last year. He'll probably be a little bit early, and he still has the memories of a Final Four. So it hopefully all work out for John Wallace.
This guy also, Stojakovic, coming back from a broken leg, Hubie, in August of 1995 and missed 3 months, came back his first game and scored 24. I guess no ill effects from that.
Now, the thing, see, Sacramento has liked him from the get-go. Sacramento, they were looking at Kobe Bryant. They were looking for Wright, and then he was going to be their third pick. And as the people go off the board, they were sold on this guy right from the get-go.
The other thing we have to understand when you look at this type pick, Greece now has taken over for Italy and Spain as the number one place to play professional basketball.
The only other weakness I guess we could see there is the way he wore the hat. Maybe Dale Earnhardt needs to get a hold of that thing. Frank Sager's down there.
Well, first of all, you played with Red Star of Belgrade. You played with PAOK of Greece. Now a chance to go with the Kings of the NBA. How do you compare the leagues?
Yeah, I'm so happy that I'm here. This was my dream to play in NBA, and I'm so glad to have played against top-level competition here in NBA.
What about the dream of playing in the NBA? When did you first say, hey, I want to go to America?
I did a good season in my team in PAOK in Greece, and I decided to go in NBA this year.
You like Sacramento?
Yeah, I like. I'm very happy to choose Sacramento Kings. It was a great team.
All right, congratulations. Good luck. Back to the set.
Predrag Stojakovic, the 14th pick in the first round, taken by the Sacramento Kings. Who's up next? The Phoenix Suns with a 15 pick. We'll be right back at you after this. The waiting game continues for John Wallace of Syracuse, who is admired for his decision to go back to school. Thought it would improve his standing in the draft. He remains seated in the green room, waiting to be chosen here in the NBA draft. We are through 14 picks. Let's go down to the podium and the Phoenix Suns pick with the commissioner, David Stern.
With the 15th pick in the 1996 NBA Draft, the Phoenix Suns select Steve Nash from the University of Santa Clara.
Steve Nash, the first Bronco to go in the first round. Since when, you ask? 1969. Bud Ogden to Philadelphia. You remember that, Hubie?
I sure do. As a matter of fact, one of my dearest friends, Carl Williams, was an assistant coach back then, and then became the head coach, now the athletic director. I know the Broncos are very happy. This young man, they recruited him from Victoria, Canada. He plays on the Canadian national team. Just an outstanding young man. Now you say, why Phoenix? Well, Phoenix must protect themselves. Kevin Johnson has already given the news that he's going to retire after one more year. They also have involved before this draft in some potential trades using Elliot Perry as a throw-in with a certain guy by the initial CB. Now, who knows whether that is going to happen. So what you're seeing here is Phoenix protecting themselves. This is an organization that did a magnificent job over the last 2 years getting Person and Finley, and people kind of forget Chris Carr, Mario Bennett, and Coker.
And they're doing this organization over, and this is a good start at the point guard position. Kevin Johnson has been a little injury prone. As you said, you may trade Perry. This is a young man that can grow with Finley and become and form a good nucleus for this Phoenix Sun basketball team.
Rick Majerus, the head coach at Utah, calls him the poor man's John Stockton, and he's got some definite skills. In fact, among the skills, not just dishing the ball off, the guy's a tremendous free throw shooter, nearly 90%. And at the Desert Classic, his coach there was K.C. Jones, called him a natural leader.
Well, he has excellent vision, Ernie. He sees the floor, he can make the play, and then he has three-point range.
Steve Nash going to the Phoenix Suns, and we go to Craig.
You know, Steve, normally, I know you're happy. Normally, we don't like to compare players to those currently in the NBA, but with you, the comparisons don't stop. I must ask for the comparison between you and Kurt Rambis, the other Santa Clara pro.
Well, we're similar in size, I think. You know, honestly, it's just exciting for me to be here. I think that Santa Clara hasn't had a pro since Rambis, and it's exciting for the school. And I want to thank Santa Clara, St. Michael's High School, Arbutus Junior High, all my coaches, my family, and my friends. They've done a lot for me along the way, and I couldn't have done it without any of them.
Marty Blake, the NBA's director of scouting, always talks about the importance of playing in these postseason camps. What was your mentality? What were your thoughts going into Phoenix and the Desert Classic when you performed so well?
Well, there's a lot of pressure there because you never know where you're going to go, and I think people are always speculating this and that. And, you know, I just went out there with a positive attitude and try to control things that I could control and not worry about the extracurricular stuff. So I was really pleased with my performance in Phoenix, and it definitely helped me.
Congratulations. Cotton picked his man. Let's go back to the set.
All right, thank you, Segs. Steve Nash goes to the Phoenix Suns. You know, he's from Victoria, British Columbia. For a time was known as Victoria's Secret. A secret no longer, as he's taken in the first round by the Phoenix Suns. Let us check in now with Scott Hastings, our Pacific Division correspondent, standing by with, she's like, I used to work with us, Danny Ainge.
My gosh.
I never got to wear the makeup like he got to make, though.
I borrowed it from his wife. Hey, the good thing, you guys got a new hockey team down here, so you get a Canadian down here so we can watch hockey.
Well, Steve is a big hockey fan from Canada, so we got the Coyotes down here now. He's looking forward to that.
Now what decide on Steve Nash? A lot of people say John Wallace is around there. Do you need some depth in your big man position? But as Hubie just mentioned, Kevin Johnson may retire in a year.
Well, we got a lot of frontline players, Scott, and this was a draft out of need. We have Kevin Johnson retiring after a year, and we don't have a first-round pick next year. We also think Steve's a terrific player. We really like the way he enters the ball in the post. We like the way he runs the floor. We like the way he can shoot, and we're very excited to have him.
Now, what we got here, you played against Charles Barkley. You're now going to coach Charles Barkley. What are you going to do with Charles Barkley?
Charles is going to do whatever he wants to do, just like he always has. I'm not going to make any difference there.
The Phoenix Sun draft Steve Nash. Forget Stockton. How about the new Danny Ainge in the NBA?
Hey, while you got Danny there for a second, and Danny, I mean, what's the definitive word on Charlie getting traded?
I don't know. There's been a lot of discussions, Ernie, lately, but nothing is imminent right now. It could go on forever, and we could have Charles back, which would be great.
Danny, thank you for joining us. Scotty, we'll talk to you in a few minutes. The Phoenix Suns taking Steve Nash in the first round with a 15th pick. The number 16 pick belongs to the Charlotte Hornets, who were just up a couple of picks ago at number 13 when they took Kobe Bryant. Let's go to the commissioner for Charlotte's next pick.
With the 16th pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the Charlotte Hornets select Tony Delk from the University of Kentucky. Tony is not here.
Tony Delk going to the Charlotte Hornets. He had visited the Hornets a couple of times, and they obviously were pleased with what they saw, Rick.
And he wasn't invited, just to clear that up. Tony Delk wanted to go to the Charlotte Hornets. That was the team he was hoping he would be drafted by. And speaking with Dave Cowens, he wanted someone who could apply defensive pressure at the point position, as well as score from the perimeter. Dave feels, obviously, that Charlotte's weaknesses is stopping people, and he feels Tony can be an impetus to help that basketball team defend.
Well, what I like about it, Rick, you know, as an outsider, this guy can finish. He's a big-time shooter with the shot clock going down. And I know that when the game was on the line, you loved it when he had the ball in his hands.
Yes, and it fits the NBA game. The clock's running down. You have to get your shot off. Here's a young man who gets his own shot, but also turns around and can pick you up at half court, and you're not losing him.
You have to remember now, Charlotte, Kenny Anderson, questionable, free agent. Tyrone Bogues, the knee. He could not come back and give them any major minutes in the second half of the season last year. So his future is questionable.
Question on Tony Delk. Can he play point?
I think so in the NBA, the same way Mookie Blaylock. He reminds me a little bit of Mookie Blaylock. You remember, you have a 24-second clock. You don't have that many options to run. You've got to run a pick and roll. You've got to get the ball inside. Tony Delk can certainly bring the ball up versus pressure and play that position. And I think Kenny Anderson will not be signed now by the Charlotte Hornets.
He was the MVP of the Final Four right here in this building as Kentucky won the national championship. Hit 7 threes in the clinching game, did Tony Delk. Let's check in now with Peter Vesey. Pete.
The Knicks are in great position here. They're salivating. They've got 3 out of the next 5 #1 picks. They want Jermaine O'Neal. Portland wants him also, but somebody's going to drop to them, whether it's John Wallace, McCarty, or Brian Evans. They're going to get 3 of the 4 players that they wanted.
All right, thank you very much, Peter. We are down to the number 17 pick belonging to the Portland Trail Blazers. Then comes that big stretch of New York picks. Back to tell you what transpires here in the first round of the draft when we come back. Welcome back to the 1996 NBA Draft from Continental Airlines Arena in New Jersey. That is the green room where the players and their families have been waiting. The numbers dwindling somewhat as we are now down to the 17th pick of the first round. There's the commissioner.
With the 17th pick in the 1996 NBA Draft, the Portland Trail Blazers select Jermaine O'Neal from Eau Claire High School in South Carolina. Jermaine is not here.
Popular pick.
Yes, indeed.
That's one of the biggest ovations of the evening.
It's incredible. I didn't know PJ had that many relatives in this building.
You would have thought that maybe the Knicks had grabbed him the way they reacted here, but the Knicks came this close but don't get him. How much of a project is Jermaine O'Neal? How long do you have to wait?
I recruited him from sophomore year on, and I honestly thought we were going to get him at the University of Kentucky. He does not have the body to play in the NBA, but he definitely has the potential to be a big-time shot blocker, rebounder. He runs well. He's got to refine his low post game, but certainly this is a pick for the future. Now you have 2 high school kids drafted in the top 20, 2 young men.
Well, you know, going in, Ernie, they were talking about Jermaine O'Neal, John Wallace, and McCarty. So they did get one of the 3 guys that they were looking for.
John Wallace, as we see, still sitting. How can this be happening? I mean, we talked about him slipping, but did you think this far?
Yeah, well, it has to do with the workouts that he went through, the conversations with the coaching staffs, the battery of tests that they give you, and then also, is he a power forward or is he a small forward? He played the back of a 2-3 zone. Can he make the adjustment to small forward? Now, a lot of these guys might step back off of that.
I now realize why they cheered so loudly for Jermaine O'Neal, because they want Wallace to go to New York.
Yeah, right.
Could be the fact. 18, 19, and 21 belong to the Knicks. Let's go down to Peter Vesey.
I don't think there's any doubt about it. They're going to get Wallace. And for whatever reason, I know he interviewed poorly at a few places. Some people think he's another Derek Coleman. You got to treat everybody differently. This guy is a hard worker, and I think the Knicks are going to make themselves a great pick. Let's not forget they got Mark Jackson at number 18 once upon a time. They do well at number 18.
All right, Peter, let's go back now and talk about Jermaine O'Neal for one more second, as he is picked by the Portland Trail Blazers at 6'11 and 216. The player of the year in South Carolina. And Hubie, Your thoughts on Jermaine O'Neal?
No, I think it's a very good pick for them. You know, you have Sabonis in the middle with Portland. You still have Buck Williams. You still have Cliff Robinson. You know, you have a cast of guys out there, plus Harvey Grant. You have an awful lot of people up front. So you can gamble on a talent like this and just say, you know what, we don't need him to play here for the next couple of years.
And definitely it changes my summer recruiting plans now that 2 high school kids have been drafted in the top 20.
He played in a Hoop Summit game against international players under 22 years of age and scored 21 points, 10 rebounds, and had 7 blocks in a game. So Jermaine O'Neal certainly has the tools, and he is on his way to the Portland Trail Blazers. This place is rocking right now because the New York Knicks have 3 of the next 4 picks coming up. And
well,
again, John Wallace enters into the equation. Where else do they go?
Ernie, I think you have to remember that they wanted Wallace, McCarty, Dante Jones, and then also any one of the 3 big European players. So the Knicks could not have picked this any better than the way it's falling into their lap.
And obviously the Syracuse contingent is here wanting Wallace to go to the New York Knickerbockers. And if the Knicks get John Wallace, they get a 4-year player. And it was not bad that John sat out the extra year because he enhanced his game. Right around the same draft pick, the Knicks are very lucky if they pick up John Wallace here, or Walter McCarty or Dante Jones for that matter.
The New York Knicks holding all the cards right now with 3 of the next 4 picks. And when you look at this team, there are also questions. I guess Jeff Van Gundy is your new man, but the small forwards who are remaining out there, and you see Wallace and Jerome Williams of Georgetown, who's a pretty good ball player. And boy, they are chanting here, and they want to hear who the Knicks pick is. And Commissioner David Stern about to make his way to the podium. There's a big John Wallace fan, ready to hear the name called if indeed it is. Here comes the commish.
With the 19th pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the New York Knicks select John Wallace from Syracuse University.
A native of Rochester, New York, the 18th pick in the first round of the 1996 NBA draft. Sounds like Kentucky just won the national championship in here, doesn't it? The place is rocking as John Wallace of the Orange goes to the Knicks.
Well, it was well worth the wait for this young man because he got the only bad thing about this is on one side he's got to get hit by Anthony Mason. Yeah. On the other side he's got to get hit by Charles Oakley. Outside of that, the New York Knicks and Jeff Van Gundy are very lucky.
They are, because they need to rebuild their front line on their second unit. Because if you come with Mason, Ewing, and Oakley, you need to have the depth factor. It definitely hurt them in the playoffs. They did not get enough scoring up front with the substitutes.
Let's enjoy this moment as he makes his appearance before the fans here in New Jersey. The New York Knicks first round pick. There's his mom, Vanessa. Saw Cheryl Miller's report last night in our draft preview about what Vanessa has meant to that family. And what a great night this is for John Wallace and his family as he's selected by the New York Knicks. Had to wait a while, had to sweat a little bit, but the Knicks have him with the 18th pick of the first round. Hubie?
Well, the main thing here is you're getting a guy that can score facing the basket, and any time that you have a Patrick Ewing who's posting up as much as he does, and then the fact that you run Mason inside on quite a bit, you need people who can play frontline positions, who can make the jump shot facing the basket, and I think that's one of his key areas.
You know, you improve at a rapid pace in the NBA when you go against daily competition, and this young man's going to get great competition, great coaching. And this was wonderful for John Wallace as well as wonderful for the New York Knicks to get a player at this caliber this late.
Much was made of the fact that John Wallace returned to school for his senior year, despite the fact he was thinking about coming out last year. And the one guy who thought that was the right move certainly was the Detroit Pistons' Grant Hill.
John Wallace definitely showed me a lot. I think showed the entire public what he could do. I think he's definitely extended his range to a three-point shot. He can post up. And he's versatile. He can put the ball on the floor. At 6'9", he could be a very good three-man in the NBA.
Well, first of all, we said you could go anywhere in the top 15. You dropped to 18, but I haven't seen the Knicks fans this happy since the foul was called on Scottie Pippen against Hubert Davis. Congratulations. How do you feel about being the Knicks?
I feel real good right now. The bottom line is that I'm in the NBA, and I'm staying, home's been New York, and it's going to remain to be New York for the next couple of years, and I'm happy about that.
You receive a lot of advice from your family. I know it was a big decision when we went back to school. What has your family told you, particularly your mother, sitting back there waiting?
My mother just told me to keep my head up. She knows what type of player I'm being. I'm emerging one of the top players from this draft. It doesn't matter where I got picked.
Well, we know you can rebound, you can block shots. Some people question the defense because in college you always played the zone. How do you feel you fit in with the Knicks?
I'm going to fit in well. All the players up there, Mason, Ewing, and Harper and all them, and Coach Van Gundy. And I'm just looking forward to getting up there.
Lifelong Knick fan, stays in New York. Congratulations. Let's go back to Ernie.
Thanks, Eggs, and one of the many college players who chuckles when the term defense is brought up. But John Wall is going to the Knicks, and they're still up. Back to tell you who they take at 19 after this. We welcome you back to the 1996 NBA draft, the 1966 NBA draft. The first player taken, the Knicks, Cazzie Russell. Knicks are up now again, and here's the commissioner.
In the 1996 NBA draft, the New York Knicks select Walter McCarty from the University of Kentucky.
Wow, 3 Cats in the first round. First time since '92 that a school has had 3 first-round picks. Beaming with pride to my left is Rick Pitino, and with good reason.
And now you know why we won the national championship. Walter McCarty is a 10-star person on a 5-star scale. The New York Knicks at 18 and 19 are doing magnificent. I don't just say that because I've coached this young man. He's a legit 6'10". He gives them what they need from the perimeter. He can knock down the three-point shot, the mid-range shot, his low post game. I always used to say when he got hit and went to the ground, I said, look, God forbid someday you get hit by Ewing, Mason, or Oakley. He's now going to find out he'll never forgive me for making that statement.
To the rousing cheers of some New York Knicks fans, Walter McCarty makes his entrance to the stage.
This young man does a mile in 4:46. He was a state champion at the 440. He's a great sprinter. He has great hops, wins every slam dunk contest, plays the piano, and can do Stevie Wonder impersonations better than Stevie Wonder. So he's a well-rounded young man.
The Knicks came out of this with a windfall, and they still have another pick. When you look at it, you got the three-point shooting, Rick, and that's the big thing. But what I like about him also is he can score with his back to the basket. When you say they've added McCarty and Wallace, 2 players with size, 2 players who can score in an area that they needed to improve.
And both of us felt that McCarty and Wallace could be projected late lottery picks. And now the Knicks get them both at 18 and 19. Both have a very strong work ethic. I think the Knicks are doing great.
Walter McCarty standing by now with Craig Sagal. Let's go down to Craig.
Well, at Harrison High School in Evansville, obviously you're a front court player, you're a track star. How did going to Kentucky and their style of play help you in the adaptation to the NBA?
I think it really helped me out with the system Coach P runs. He runs the NBA system, and everything that we do at Kentucky, they do in the pros, and that really helped us out a lot. The 3 guys taking the draft from Kentucky, so it really prepared us well.
The Knicks receive a tremendous forward. However, it sounds like the marketing department has received somebody to play the national anthem or sings at the Garden. What song possibly describes how you feel right now?
Because even though times got rough, you never turned away, you were right there, and I thank you.
Walter McCarty, obviously right at home inside the Garden or outside on Broadway. Congratulations. Good luck in New York.
Wow, undiscovered talent. Very nice from Walter McCarty. You know the last time the Knicks picked somebody from Kentucky? I bet you do, Hubie. Kenny Skywalker ring a bell?
Yeah, listen, and before his back injury, he averaged over 16 a game, in his rookie season.
How about an inside look now at Walter McCarty and your impressions of what he will bring to the New York Knicks?
Yeah, I just like the size factor and that he can score. And you're going to see it right here. See, he's an excellent post-up player. He has the spin moves. can shoot up over the top of people, and that is a key in the NBA. Then, anytime that he trails on the break, you always have the threat of the three-point shot. Could not be going to a better team. If you think about it, when you post Ewing, you take Mason and Oakley out of the game, and you have Wallace and McCarty, and you have two guys who can hit the outside shots. It takes an awful lot of pressure off of Patrick Ewing.
So the New York Knicks making some hay here at the 18 and 19 spots in the first round. And let's check in again with our Atlantic Division correspondent now, Kevin Kiley in Philadelphia. K-Squared, take it, kid.
Thank you so much, Ernie. Now, as the Knicks rebuild their front court with the draft, don't forget that going into the draft, they're $9 million under the cap, and they would like to pick up one or two free agents. When you look in the backcourt, Reggie Miller looms large, but Reggie is expected to go back to Indiana. They were talking about taking Juwan Howard from Washington, but they've rebuilt the front court. In Detroit, they are very, very nervous that the Knicks are going to make a run at Allen Houston. Allen Houston, the great shooting guard from Detroit. So keep your eye on that in the days to come. Back to you, Ernie.
All right, thank you very much, Kevin. We're up to the 20th pick in the first round. It belongs to the Cleveland Cavaliers. It is their second pick of the first round. Earlier, at number 12, they took Vitaly Potapenko of Wright State. Where do you go now? We go to the commissioner, David Stern. He's got the answer.
With the 20th pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers select Zydrunas Ilgauskas from Lithuania.
Well, with those two picks, the Cleveland Cavaliers definitely lead the league in first-round syllables. Zydrunas Ilgauskas of Lithuania. Vitaly Potapenko was already taken with the 12th pick in the first round, as Cleveland tries to get bigger, and they're doing exactly that, Hubie.
And you know, and it's good because they're big, they're strong, they're young. This guy can score. He's been out with an injury for a couple of seasons, but he came back. He helped his team win the Lithuanian championship for the third straight season. He'll be on their Olympic team, so you know that he's going to get a great experience over the summer. And they needed it in Cleveland, and they, once again, they got lucky.
Rick, I know you know this guy because when he was touring with the Lithuanian team, he played Kentucky.
He played against Kentucky. He's an outstanding basketball player, and that was a few years ago, so you know he's improved. And thankfully, Michael Fratello speaks well with his hands because his communication skills are going to have to be up to par with the two guys they drafted. But here is a young man that has great skills. He can do a number of different things, and I think, again, it fills. Every team is filling their needs, and that's what's great to see. Normally you hear, well, they took the best athlete. So far, every team is filling the voids that they have on their ball club.
And just to refresh your memory, 26 points and 19 rebounds and 4 blocks in that tour in '94 against Kentucky. Just thought you'd like to know.
Thanks, Ernie.
You probably already have that in the memory bank.
Defense.
Let's go back down to Craig.
Well, a year ago, we talked about the chance of you playing in the NBA. Obviously, growing up in Lithuania, has it always been a dream? What does it feel like to say, hey, I'm in the NBA?
Yeah, thanks God. I'm very excited. I'm waiting for so many years, working hard, and finally I'm in the league. I can't tell in the words. It's so exciting. I couldn't believe it.
Obviously, Mike Fratello does a good job scouting over the world. We know what he's going to tell you, but the rest of the world can see you this summer, the Lithuanian national team playing in the Olympics. What kind of team do you have? Can you beat the dream team?
I don't think so. We're going to have a pretty good team, but I think we can be in the first 3 place. So
maybe a medal. Well, congratulations. Good luck in Cleveland. Back to the set.
All right, Segs, Zydrunas Ilgauskas going to the Cleveland Cavaliers of Mike Fratello. The New York Knicks are back up again. Don't go away. And we welcome you back to the 1996 NBA Draft. 20 players have been selected. 5 centers, 5 power forwards leading the way at this point. The top pick overall was Allen Iverson, the Georgetown sophomore who was taken number 1 by the Philadelphia 76ers. The New York Knicks with 3 picks in the first round. At 18, they took John Wallace, who had to wait a while, but it was worth it. And then at number 19, they took Walter McCarty of the Kentucky Wildcats. That's the situation at the New York point. Mark Jackson, Rod Strickland, Greg Anthony, Charlie Ward, you see them. And right now you have the situation with Derek Harper there. What's the situation with Derek?
No, well, who knows? I mean, it isn't like they do not like his style of play. What they're looking at is his age. Now, will they keep him? Derek had an excellent season this year. Is Charlie Ward ready to take over a playoff team and push them into competition for the Eastern Conference Championship?
I've got to look at McGinnis at this pick. I think that's a solid pick for the New York Knicks. If they don't go with McGinnis, they might go with Moochie Norris. But I believe that McGinnis has the size they want at the point position, and I think they go with him. Now, obviously, I don't know anything about this pick, but that's who I'd pick.
Iverson, Marbury, and Nash have gone as point guards so far. Moochie Norris, Derek Fisher. There you see McInnes from North Carolina. Randy Livingston, a guy you like, what you saw in camps?
Yeah, but you see, going in, the Knicks were hoping to get Ilgauskas at that spot. Okay, now, will they stay big, or will they go for a point guard?
In the Knicks situation, put yourself in Jeff Van Gundy's shoes right now. Went from a situation where everybody said he's got no chance to stay to earning that job by leading the Knicks in a tough series against Chicago. What lies ahead for Jeff Van Gundy?
Oh, listen, the players love his methodical approach, his organization, the way he handles the players, and all of the key guys love him as a coach. I don't think he has anything to worry about, and I like how he's really helped himself here. They were also looking for Ilgauskas and also Dante Jones.
The pick belongs to the Knicks, and we go to the commissioner.
With the 21st pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the New York Knicks select Dante Jones from Mississippi State University.
Another early entry candidate from Mississippi State. Dante Jones going to the New York Knicks. Their third pick of the first round. And Dante Jones, Rick, you know him pretty well. This guy really came on in the SEC tournament and the NCAA.
One of our losses we can peg to Dante Jones. But this pick I don't understand. Not Dante Jones. They got another great talent. This is a little bit duplication now. One of the players I believe possibly could be moved on and traded. I think there's too much at the three position right now. You have three players that can play the three. McCarty can swing possibly to the 4 spot. So I don't know here. Maybe a trade is brewing and it's in the works.
He's the 5th player from the SEC taken. Is there a question about his health? Because doesn't he have a screw in one of his feet and they think that thing may be coming loose?
Now this guy, he can post up, he can face, he can hit the threes. You know, junior college player of the year just 2 years ago. And the big thing here is, Ernie, he has a stress fracture and they've got to straighten out the screw, which is in the toe.
21 players picked, 15 underclassmen. Dante Jones, the latest of those from Mississippi State. Let's go back to Peter Vesey. Pete?
Well, the question now is, we got the Grizzlies coming up next. I think they're going to go for Roy Rogers. They're definitely going big on this one. And the next one, we got the Nuggets. They're either going to go for Jeff McInnes or Eftimus Ritzius. Because if Mutombo doesn't come back, they've got to protect themselves at center. That's it.
Hey, how about the New York Knicks, though? We have some speculation here about what might be happening, if a deal might be in the works with one of those picks. What do you think, Peter?
Well, I think that they've been talking about trading a couple of these guys going into this. There was some rumors earlier today that they were going to trade a couple of these guys or a couple of these picks for Cedric Ceballos. That turned out not to be correct. But I agree with Rick. I think the Knicks are definitely looking to wheel and deal here.
All right, Peter Vesey joining us tonight for the 1996 NBA draft. We already have seen a trade tonight, number 4 and number 5. Stephon Marbury, who was taken by Milwaukee, traded to Minnesota for Ray Allen as they swap the 4 and the 5 picks. We'll see if the Knicks have something in mind. Right now, the Vancouver Grizzlies are on the table with 2 minutes and 57 seconds to go to make their next first-round selection. They took Sharif Abdur-Rahim the first time around. Now where do you go with the Grizz?
Well, they need help up front. They liked Evans from Indiana. You also know that you have Roy Rogers, a shot blocker who was in Rick's conference. They can handle any kind of upfront help. Now, also, I like what Rick mentioned a little while ago, and that is Jeff McInnes. This guy has some talent at 6'4".
No question about it. You have the size made for that position in the NBA, and he'd be a natural for them, and they could go that way. Or Rogers is an excellent shot blocker, and they're not easy to come by in the NBA.
At the same time, if you go to the point, you get back to the Greg Anthony question with these guys.
Yeah, but, you know, who's to say that every guy that's picked here is going to come in and start?
I'm saying it.
I thought maybe you were getting a little piece of the action. What do you think, Rick, right? Also here, now remember, they still can go with Retzius okay, which would be a good choice for them. You also have Lauderdale. You have all kinds of big guys that they could possibly go. So it isn't like they could be hurting. And you know, there's another guy who played well, I thought, in Chicago, and that was Harrington out of Georgetown. I thought he really helped himself.
Yes, he would be an excellent pick as well. I would go, though, with Rogers. I think he's got great upside. I've seen him make more improvement in 1 year than any player I've seen in the last 8 or 9 years.
If they went with Roy Rogers out of Alabama, it certainly would not be a first for the SEC in this first round. The SEC showing the way. 3 Kentucky Wildcats among the 5 who have been selected from the SEC. The Big East with 4, including the top pick in the draft, Allen Iverson of Georgetown. The ACC with a couple, and you see the rest of the list there as we count the clock down to about a minute left for the Vancouver Grizzlies and their first pick here. Surprised that we haven't seen some people go at this point. We had to wait for John Wallace. Who are you surprised to see has not gone yet, if anybody?
Well, Retz is, because I think that everyone felt, you know, he's a young player with great talent. He led the Greece national team to the junior championships. So he has come down. Now, there's also a little question mark about his contract. I mean, that's the only guy to me that well, also, I think somebody's going to get themselves a great basketball player in this young man Williams from Georgetown.
Jerome Williams.
He's still available, and he doesn't necessarily have the offensive tools, but you're going to get someone that's really going to help your ball club.
Speaking as coaches, as NBA coaches, when a kid comes in, what's the first thing you got to teach him?
To play under duress. See, over here you have high school basketball and college basketball, and over here you have a game played at the top of the box, which is at 11 feet.
Let us go back to the podium. Let's go to the next pick in the draft belonging to the Grizz, and here's Commissioner David Stern.
With the 22nd pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the Vancouver Grizzlies select Roy Rogers from the University of Alabama.
I'm like you, Rick. I like this pick because they needed help at small forward and big forward. They needed guys who could rebound and shot block. They just got 2 of them, in Raheem and now in Rogers. And when you think that this guy in one game blocked 14 shots, I don't care who he's playing against, he got 14 blocks.
You turn around and you teach every good offensive low post player before he makes a move, locate the defense. When you play against this guy, you locate Roy Rogers. All you try to do is get him away from you. He's that good a shot blocker.
Well, how do you feel about the fact that they question his knees?
Well, I never noticed the problem. And if you look at Alabama's program, they all show better when they get to the NBA level. And here's a young man that I think from a shot blocking standpoint, from an offensive skill standpoint, he's made great improvements in 1 year. He's now shooting the 15-foot face-up jump shot. He has pretty good turnaround jump shots in the low post.
And also for you basketball purists who say, whatever happened to the hook shot? This guy, Roy Rogers, will shoot it.
Well, I think what you also have to like, this guy is really a very solid young man. He has a degree in marketing. He's also working right now on his master's in finance. So we know that, yeah, sure, he's got the shot blocking ability, athletic talent, but he also has a fine head on his shoulders.
156 blocks as a senior. Those 14 came against the University of Georgia and broke the mark that Shaquille O'Neal had held of 12 in one game. And a long line of Alabama big men, Hubie and Rick, who can play this game and have made their way into the NBA.
Isn't it interesting how very few of these Alabama guys are at the top of the list at the beginning of the year, but when we get to draft time, everyone is interested in these guys.
And then they show welcome NBA time, and this young man has great upside. He's got a much improved offensive game, as you can see from that turnaround jump shot.
So Vancouver pulls the trigger on Roy Rogers. Here's Craig Sig.
Well, as they mentioned on the set, it's Roll Tide once again. You sat there watching TV last year. Antonio McDyess, Jason Caffey going to the first round. Now it's your turn. When did you think you'd be sitting here?
Well, to be honest, Craig, I never thought I'd have this opportunity. You know, my dream was to go to college and just get my degree. I fulfilled that dream last year by graduating with a degree in marketing. So I worked hard, extremely hard in the weight room. Coach Terry Jones, I carried it over onto the court. You know, David Hobbs has done a great job with me this season. You know, I just have to say congrats. Just thank you to all my people back at the University of Alabama for working so hard with me, all the fans for their support. You know, it was tremendously hard on me waiting back in the green room, but I'm just glad to be selected here in the draft.
Rick Pitino said he hasn't seen a player grow as much in 1 year as you have. probably in the last decade. I know Roy Sr., Nadine are very proud parents. You're an NBA draft pick. You have 2 degrees. The question they always ask at graduation, where do you hope to be 5 to 10 years from now?
5 to 10 years from now, Craig, hopefully I will be in the front office of an NBA team. I hope, if my career is over in 12 years, I want to be around the game. I don't want to coach because coaching has too short of a lifespan. So hopefully I can be in the front office making the decisions about who I'm going to hire and fire.
Well, you're right, Hubie. This guy's got his act together. Let's go back to the set.
He does have his act together. Let's take an inside look at Roy Rogers, Hubie, and what you like about his game.
Yeah, I think Rick brought out a great point, and that is that every team that played against Alabama, you are constantly worrying, where is this guy from the defensive standpoint? And you're going to see now here, you think you got a shot. He can come down from the top, not only block the shot, keep the ball in play, and ignite the fast break. And you could just see with this young guy, I mean, you're talking 2 quality people in Raheem and in Rogers.
Really, Vancouver and the Knicks right now, when you look at it with this pick this late in the draft and just listening to him articulate his feelings about basketball and what takes place outside of the lines, they've got themselves a young man who's probably going to play hard for 82 games.
You got that right. Vancouver with a couple of picks, and they've done well. So have the Cleveland Cavaliers, and Mike Fratello is standing by with our Cheryl Miller at Gund Arena, the Czar and the divine Miss M. Take it away.
Well, thanks a lot, Ernie. Well, Coach, it looks like you have an international flavor with their 2 picks, Ilgauskas and Potapinko. What was the motivation behind going with 2 big men?
Cheryl, on our board of needs going into this draft, the first 2 things up there were size and toughness that we wanted to add to this team. And I think it's obvious that we've added size, one player being 7'3" and the other weighing in at 277 pounds. And Potapinko is one tough hombre, so I think we've got a little bit of both in there.
You ready to pronounce those names and get it straight this time?
We'll have to give him short nicknames, obviously.
All right, Coach, congratulations with your 2 picks. Let's go back to you, Ernie.
All right, thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Mike. Let's go to the podium. The next pick belongs to the Denver Nuggets. Here's the commissioner.
With the 23rd pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the Denver Nuggets select Efthymios Regius from PAOK in Greece.
As Rick Pitino pointed out a little while ago, Greece is taking center stage on the international scale here as far as making moves into the NBA. Your thoughts on Rencius?
Well, I think this is a great pick for them. Obviously, that Michael has done his homework, and you have to go there and do your homework. He sat out last year, and this is something that I think that you look at. The Nuggets are going to get themselves a fine basketball player here. Michael got 2, and now Denver Nuggets get 1. So they've all done their homework with the foreign players.
Well, he's only 20 years of age. He's 250 pounds. He runs well, good scorer, and in the junior world championships led his team to the championship. And the thing that you like is you're trying to protect yourself. Sure, he's not going to be a starter, but you're worrying about, can you keep Alonzo Mourning at that position, who's a free agent? And then, it's going to be interesting.
Dikembe Mutombo.
I'm sorry, Dikembe Mutombo.
And Sedicovic is his backup, so you're getting a lot of guys piled up there. Do you think the Denver feeling is that Mutombo will not be around?
Well, I think that it's going to be difficult for them to keep him in the early going. Let's just hope, for the franchise's sake, that they can keep him there, because he is such a major factor and such a force in not only the shot blocking but the rebounding.
The Los Angeles Lakers are up next, and there's so much talk about the fact that they might be able to get their hooks into Shaquille O'Neal. There was talk about a draft up and trying to get Eric Marbury. There I went again, calling Stephon Marbury Eric, but they're up next at the number 24, and where do you go if you're Jerry West?
Well, more than likely, we're not going to know the person Jerry's drafting. He's going to confuse us all, and then we're going to have to go to Peter Vesey down with Greg Sager to find out who he's picking. But I think he's not. He's going to go with somebody big, obviously, because if he does go after Shaq, trades Vlade Divac, he's going to need somebody to back him up. And you have Travis Knight still out there, so he may go with him.
We've had one trade tonight, and that has been the Stephon Marbury and Ray Allen. And let's go to them now, standing by with Craig Sager. Craig?
Well, here 1 minute, traded the next. That's life in the NBA. I guess you find out in a heck of a hurry, Stephon. You had the one hat on. You've been traded to Minnesota. But I know deep down you're awfully happy. You get to play with Kevin Garnett. Have you talked to anybody on the phone to pick where the trade were announced?
Yeah, I just now spoke to him. I mean, he was just as happy as I was. He was screaming. You know, I mean, I'm really happy. I can't say too much about it. I'm getting to play with my friend. We're getting to play where I wanted to play, and I'm going to be surrounded around a great bunch of people as far as the staff.
When the trade was announced, did your mom start crying all over again?
Nah, she didn't. She just was like shocked. You know, now that I'll be playing with Kevin and knowing that she knows Kevin, you know, she feels even better.
Congratulations. First of all, Ray, the pick was made. You were surprised. I was a little bit surprised. I told you they loved you in Milwaukee. Have you talked to the Bucks since the trade was announced?
Yes, I just finished talking to them, and they're very excited and ready for me to come to Milwaukee tomorrow.
What about the emotions of waiting to figure out where you're picked, then you're surprised, then you're traded? What was it like for you?
Well, it's nerve-wracking going back and forth, thinking you might play on this side of the United States, or then you might think you have an idea of going to Canada. But otherwise, for me, I tried to just stay low-key about it and wait for this night to happen so I can get a better feeling and understanding of where I'd end up.
Well, at this point in time, Ernie, I think we have to say it was a great trade for both guys and both teams. They both got what they wanted.
All right, thank you very much, Craig, as we continue in the first round. The number 24 pick belonging to the Los Angeles Lakers. And will Jerry West get somebody that we have never heard of? Who knows if he will do that. You know, last year, he's gotten Nick Van Exel before. He took Frankie King last year. That didn't exactly pan out. Let us go to our Pacific Division correspondent once again, Scott Hastings in Phoenix. Scotty?
Ernie, the answer to Jerry West's dilemma of who he drafts next is in this book right here, You Choose. I had a chance to cover this team. This team has probably tried to make more trades than any team so far on draft day and leading up to the draft. Nothing has panned out yet. This is a team at the end of the season that did not get along with each other in the locker room. So not only is Jerry West looking for talent, Jerry West, I believe, is going to be looking for chemistry and the right kind of guy that could come in there, fit in, and maybe smooth the waters a little bit. Ernie?
All right, thank you, Scott. In Phoenix, covering the Pacific Division and specifically this trip, the Los Angeles Lakers, who have the number 24 pick, and the clock is winding down. Where do you go, Hubie Brown, if you're Jerry West? And again, bring up the team chemistry thing, the Van Exel and Ceballos and everything last year, and it was not a pretty scene.
No, it wasn't, but they still won 53 games. It was still an excellent basketball team. Jerry West will pick the best talent. When you're talking about general managers who can really evaluate people, just go back through this guy's track record ever since he's been in this position and see the talented guys that he's been able to get at the bottom of the draft.
Let's jump down now to Peter Vesey. Your thoughts, Pete?
Okay, I look for the Lakers to take Jerome Williams or Bryant Evans right here, but I think even more importantly, I just talked to someone over at the Knicks. They definitely did not take those three guys to trade them. They're keeping all three. They think it's added scoring, versatility, athleticism, everything that they need. Plus, they've got $9.4 million left on their cap to spend on free agents this summer.
All right, so the Los Angeles Lakers are up. Let's see what direction they go. Here's the commissioner.
With the 24th pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the Los Angeles Lakers select Derek Fisher from the University of Arkansas at Little Rock.
Now, you see, once again, now everyone is sitting here saying, now, who is this kid? This guy did a great job in Chicago. We're talking about a guy who can make the plays. He's left-handed. He gets down inside. He has an excellent decision maker. You can see right now he's only 6'1.5", but look at the size, 200 pounds. Good point guard, good decision, left-handed, quick off the dribble, and I thought he did an excellent job at Chicago, where he stepped up and made everyone notice his game.
And you knew it was going to be an Arkansas Little Rock type basketball player last year, Western Carolina. You knew Jerry was going to do this to us. But certainly, you're right. This is not really a sleeper. This is a young man who's performed well all season long, played outstanding basketball for Arkansas Little Rock, and really can do it. He's a left-handed that can play this game.
Player of the year in the Sun Belt Conference, and some say may remind you a little bit of the little general, Avery Johnson of the San Antonio Spurs. So he is picked. Derek Fisher is by the LA Lakers. Utah up next at 25. We'll be back. Welcome back to the 1996 NBA Draft. Let's go back a few years to 1993 when Chris Webber was the #1 pick by the Orlando Magic, but then was traded for Anthony Hardaway, the #3 pick. So another swapping of hats, much as we had tonight between the #4 and #5, Stephon Marbury and Ray Allen. We welcome you back to the draft. We are through 24 picks. The number 25 selection belongs to the Utah Jazz. Never quite there, getting over the hump, although they make it to the Western Conference Finals. And I don't know what the missing ingredient is there, where you look on a night like this when you're picking 25 in the first round.
No, you're just trying to get a talented player. Let's face it, you look at the Jazz last year, and they added 2 guys over 7 foot at the center positions. They came with Morris as a free agent who stepped in and gave them double figures. So it is a team that became much bigger and much stronger. And if John Stockton's health was not questionable in that Seattle series, they could have very easily been in the finals. And if they would have made some open J's, they could possibly have been in the finals.
The Utah Jazz are up. Let's go to the commissioner for their pick, number 25 in the first round.
With the 25th pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the Utah Jazz, in this most international of leagues, select Martin Mursep from Kalev Tallinn, Estonia.
You know, with an intro like that, you knew something was up when the commissioner said in this most international of drafts. And Martin Mursep from Estonia, 6'9", 238. That's all I know. Do you guys know more on him?
This would be a perfect time after the commercial to go right to Peter Vesey to find out the inside.
The Martin Mursep story with Peter Vesey. Next, as the NBA draft continues here from Continental Airlines Arena. Thanks for being here tonight, folks. We'll be right back. Back at you from New Jersey as the draft continues on TNT. 1973, nice look. Doug Collins, the number 1 pick. The gritty, gutty Doug Collins, now the head coach of the Detroit Pistons. And they are up next as the fanfare continues here at Continental Airlines Arena. We have much more now on Martin Mursep. He's 6'9", 238. We joke because there are not volumes and volumes written about this guy. But I tell you what, if you were at breakfast this morning and you saw Hubie Brown walking around in his George Murison t-shirt, you understand what the draft is all about. This is a land of opportunity, and you remember guys laughing about George Murison from Romania saying, I love this game, and what a player he's turned out to be.
He is a definite force in this league. He anchors that young Washington team. When you think of the improvement that he has made through hard work, great attitude, very coachable, you know, that's what this is all about. And now you can't get this guy. I mean, when you just think 2 years ago, everybody was saying, oh my gosh, he can't change ends, he can't do this. Well, he's just proven everyone wrong, because it's difficult to get into that painted area when you play the Washington Wizards.
So perhaps Utah still has a shot of at Martin Mursep being another George Murison. There is Jerome Williams of Georgetown, a talent who remains in the green room waiting, and we are at the Detroit portion of the telecast. Doug Collins, what's he looking for, Hubie?
Well, you have to look at it this way. Otis Thorpe, a free agent. His starting center, Don Reed, a free agent. The backups, Eric Lechner, Lou Rowe, all free agents. These are front court people. You could possibly lose 4 guys. Jerome Williams is the type of guy that he's looking for. 6'9", runner, defender, excellent rebounder, good defense, can finish on the break, limited offensive game, but they got that plus 18 this year because of players like this.
Doug Collins and the Detroit Pistons with the 26th pick in the first round. Let's go to Commissioner David Stern.
With the 26th pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the Detroit Pistons select Jerome Williams from Georgetown University.
Just the words he was waiting to hear to get out of that green room and get out here in the arena.
Well, Detroit had a big decision there. You have Jerome Williams, you had Othello Harrington, both the same type of game, power forward, small forward. They also could have gone big for a center, but then again, not an athletic center. the type of guy that the type of style of play that they're trying to play with their front court people. Everyone loves this guy. He's a bundle of enthusiasm and an excellent defender.
How much does it come into play that a coach will say, I went with Don Reed out of Georgetown last year. I loved what I got from this second-round pick. I like this Georgetown product. Does that sway you that way in a pick like Jerome Williams?
Well, I think what you see in the workouts, Jerome Williams from high school on has been a young man with a tremendous threshold for work. And if you're a coach at this pick, you want somebody, when you take Grant Hill out of the game, who's going to walk for you. And that's what they got with this young man.
The MVP at the Desert Classic, one of the camps in Phoenix, by which scouts are able to judge talent, had 12 steals in that tournament, fourth in the Big East in rebounding with nearly 9 a game, and he finds a way to score.
Yeah, I like his game. He's a slasher, and the big thing is when you're picking down at this spot, you're trying to find athletic guys who can come in, defend for you, and possibly play 2 positions. And then in the transition game, because they like to take their defense, and if you go back and look at Detroit this year, they were one of the top defensive teams that we had in the NBA. And I know that's what Doug is doing. Good, young, talented guys who can give you 2 positions and lead with the defense.
Let's go to the inside look now on Jerome Williams of Georgetown and what he brings to the table for Doug Collins' guys, the versatility. And Jerome Williams, according to Hubie Brown, folks.
You can just see right now, first of all, he winks. He does a good job when he's winking. And now just watch him come up over the top of 3 people in order to keep a ball alive. Now, once he gets, you know that he has the athletic quickness to kick and then fill a lane. And you're going to see at the other end, he will get the ball back and then finish in the painted area.
And this is the type of Dennis Rodman type athlete that you love with the offensive glass. This is a young man that's very versatile running the floor, and he's someone who can pound the offensive backboard. And you take Grant Hill, who's not going to rest too much, and you give him quality minutes.
We saw a sign in the arena a little while ago. Jerome is in the house. He is indeed, and he's with Greg Sagan.
Well, at Georgetown, Allen Iverson grabbed the headlines. You grabbed all the rebounds. How has your confidence risen since the season ended?
Well, after the Desert Classic, my confidence rose a bit. Getting the MVP out there, I just looked to work hard and play basketball. I got to thank God, thank my parents for giving me the opportunity, Georgetown University for giving me the opportunity to play at their school. I'm just very happy to be in the situation I'm in right now.
I talked to you in the green room earlier tonight. You said you went to 11 schools, but I didn't hear you mention Detroit.
No, Detroit is one of the teams that they have such a great chemistry going right now. I got my good friend Grant Hill and Don Reed there. I can't be happier at this point. Just to be able to play with a up-and-coming star like Grant Hill and be in the nucleus of a up-and-coming back to becoming a great organization in Detroit. New coach Doug Collins, I think it's going to be great.
When I think of Georgetown, I think of a great work ethic. That's the same thing I think of when I think of Doug Collins and the Pistons, so it should be a good fit. Ernie?
Thank you very much, Craig. Back with more on the NBA Draft from the Continental Airlines Arena. That pretty much says it all. It's the 1996 NBA Draft. Pick number 27 belongs to the Magic. Commissioner David Stern.
With the 27th pick in the 1996 NBA Draft, the Orlando Magic select Bryant Evans from Indiana University.
This guy can stroke it. Bryant Evans from Indiana. It was beginning to look like for the first time since 1975 there would not be a Big Ten selection in the first round, but Bryant Evans has seen his way past that. The Indiana Hoosier, pick number 27 by the Orlando Magic. And Hubie, we mentioned he's a good shooter. How good?
Yeah, he's a good 3-point shooter. He led the Big Ten in rebounding. He's a very intelligent player. I thought in Chicago he showed his wares. People say, well, he might be a little soft defensively, but the main thing is that he can board, he can finish, and he can spot up and shoot the threes. The main thing when you join Orlando as a front court guy, you must be able to hit the perimeter shot.
I'll be honest with you, I didn't think this young man could play in the NBA, but toward the end of the season, when you watch him develop and you watch his perimeter game as well as his rebounding game, you say if he's drafted by the right team where someone named Shaquille O'Neal could protect him if he gets beat defensively, And then this young man also, like Nick Anderson, stops all the double downs from occurring because of his great outside shooting. He's with the perfect team to make it.
I was going to say, all Orlando needs is another guy who can fill it up from three-point range with Dennis Scott and Nick Anderson down there. He had 28 points against your bunch. Will he have some trouble getting his shot off, do you think, Hubie?
Well, I think that comes down to the type of offenses that you run. You know that he's coming out of a system where everything is schooled, and you're really, you're getting your doctorate's degree in how to read screens and that, and I know he'll do that. But down in Orlando, the key is when they throw into Shaq, when they throw into Penny Hardaway, when they throw into Nick Anderson, they all get double teamed. All you have to do is catch the ball on the way back and put it in the basket.
Simple as that. Brian Evans goes to the Orlando Magic, the 27th pick in the first round of the NBA draft. Let's check in again with our Atlantic Division correspondent now, Kevin Kiley in Philly. Take it away, Kev.
Ernie, thank you very much. I keep hearing the word Shaq when they throw it into Shaq, and of course that is Orlando's main consideration. Will Shaq be there? He's a free agent. Will they be able to throw it into him? There's been a lot of talk about Shaquille's relationship with Bryant Hill. Well, according to the information I have, that is not a factor. What is a factor is there is some jealousy and some competition over endorsements between Shaquille O'Neal and Penny Hardaway, and that is one of the reasons that Shaquille is considering leaving. Also, their agents, the Poston brothers, represent Penny, and Leonard Armato represents Shaquille O'Neal. They do not like each other, so there is a developing situation in Orlando between the two superstars. Shaquille feels that Penny is more popular. Now, I was in Orlando, and I didn't see that during the playoffs, so that development still has to come about, and we'll see after the draft whether Shaquille stays in Orlando. Back to you, Ernie.
Oh, a few nuggets to munch on there from Kevin Kiley in Philadelphia. Let's go down to the commissioner now. Atlanta has the 28th pick in a trade with Seattle.
With the 28th pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the Atlanta Hawks select Priest Lauderdale from Central State Ohio University and Peristeri in Greece.
The Atlanta Hawks, as things stood, had 2 picks in the second round. They swap with Seattle. They give those 2 to the Sonics. They move up to 28 in the first round. And Priest Lauderdale, this guy is 7'4". Reports were 343. I don't know if he's tipping it at that, but this guy's a load, Hubie.
Well, what the Hawks are telling you is they're trying to get someone at that center position along with rooks that can make a contribution so that Christian Laettner can move over to the power position. You have Grant Long, and you also have Alan Henderson, all guys who had excellent years. This guy only played
around. Priest Lauderdale, chosen by the Atlanta Hawks, 28th in the first round, and the Priest is with a seg. Right?
Well, Ernie, sometimes we have people in the green room that we interview. This time we got somebody out of the stands. You came here on your own, not one of the invitees. Why'd you come to the draft? Now, how does it feel to be #1 pick?
I came to the draft, because I wanted to support my peers. There's a lot of guys here I know, and I felt I deserved to be here.
What about going to Greece? What was the decision made? What were the factors? How did that affect your game?
It really just gave me an opportunity to shine on a higher level, because playing at an NAI, people tend to think, there's not as much competition or people are not as good. But, Greece just gave me a chance to profile myself on a higher level.
You're going to play for Lenny Wilkins now. You're going for the best.
I just want to tell him thank you for the opportunity and play real hard for him in the city in Atlanta.
Congratulations. Back to the set.
Lenny Wilkins on his way to the Walmart to pick up a new scale because Priest Lauderdale is a biggin, 343. Let's go down now to Peter Vesey. Peter, what's up?
Ernie, sources have told me that the Charlotte Hornets have traded Kobe Bryant to the Lakers. The best confirmation that I could get out of the Lakers was that we're very interested in Kobe, but we have not made a deal yet. We might see this be a small deal for maybe Anthony Peeler, or it could escalate into something big involving Vlade Divac. Back to you.
Okay, we'll stay on top of that. Kobe Bryant possibly going from Charlotte to the Los Angeles Lakers. Intriguing stuff. One more pick to go in the first round. It belongs to the champion Chicago Bulls. We'll be back right after this. Right back at you from the 1996 NBA Draft in New Jersey. We've come to the last pick of the first round. It belongs to the Chicago Bulls, but before we get to that, Los Angeles Lakers, intriguing stuff. One more pick to go in the first round. It belongs to the champion Chicago Bulls. We'll be back right after this. Right back at you from the 1996 NBA Draft in New Jersey. We've come to the last pick of the first round. It belongs to the Chicago Bulls, but before we get to that, let's talk about the word we're just hearing, that Peter Vesey reporting that the Lakers could possibly be swinging a deal with the Hornets for Kobe Bryant. Kind of goes back to your Jerry West conversation.
And speaking with Jerry today, he was just raving about Kobe Bryant, and I was kidding him about speaking and raving about Kobe to John Calipari. He said, please don't say anymore. Don't speak to John anymore. We were kidding around, and he loves Kobe Bryant. It could possibly be true.
He was taken number 13 by the Charlotte Hornets earlier this evening in the first round. The Chicago Bulls are up. What do you give a team that has everything, except a couple of big guys unsigned right now?
Well, you know, at this pick, they've always picked a power forward, like forever, okay? But we know that they have guys stockpiled, like in Simpson and Cody from Alabama.
Right.
Had a very nice year for them. But, as you know, every year at playoff time, they load up with 4 centers. Now, will they go for a young center? The word out of Chicago was they did like Travis Knight, Connecticut, 7-footer, a nice shot blocker, but needed upper body development. Would you draft a player like this and then send him over to Europe? Because it's not necessary for him to play here next year, because you still have Luke Longley, Bill Wennington, and then Sally and James Edwards. You know, you have a cast of guys.
Or they could go the smart way with a low-interest loan from a bank. That might be the correct thing to choose.
What's your gut? Go ahead. Here.
No, and I think you also can look at this and say, hey, there's some very interesting point guards still out here right now.
What's up with Jeff McGinnis?
Yeah, you have a McGinnis, and you also have a young fella, Mookie Norris, who played extremely well in Chicago.
He's from West Florida. It is the Chicago Bulls' turn to pick. David Stern.
With the 29th pick in the 1996 NBA Draft, the Chicago Bulls select Travis Knight from the University of Connecticut.
Travis Knight, 7 feet and 1/2 inch, 234 pounds from UConn. What does he bring you?
Well, there's a happy young man right now going to the championship team, but, you know, he's got great physical presence inside. He's a little slow of foot, but he can do certain things very well, and I think that he's got good hands, a good passer. He's a pretty good rebounder. He's got a lot to learn, but I think this is a good team to learn with.
See, when you say you have Longley and then Bill Wennington as a backup, Sally, Edwards, and Jack Haley are all free agents. So maybe it's, see, the Bulls like big, long guys with the long arms. This young guy can block shots. He was one of the leading shot blockers in Chicago. But I'm like what Rick says, he has to build the upper body. There's no doubt about that. He needs the weight room.
Same has been said of me for many, many years. Let's go down as the first round is concluded to Peter Vesey. Pete?
Ernie, you ask what he brings to the Chicago Bulls. I say long-term contract. I think it's safe to say that he's going to be there long after Rodman, Jackson, and Michael Jordan are with the Bulls.
All right. Thank you very much, Peter Vesey. The first round is in the books. Let's review things for you in case you are just now joining us. Allen Iverson, the first player selected from Georgetown by the Philadelphia 76ers. The top 7 picks, an NBA draft record, all underclassmen, 5 picks under the age of 20. 3 Big East in the top 8. Kentucky, 3 players in the first round. Rick Pitino still smiling. We'll be back with the second round after this. Us for the NBA draft tonight, 1996 version from Continental Airlines Arena in New Jersey. We are through the first round. The second round begins now with 2 minutes between picks. The Houston Rockets will have the first pick in the second round. Let's go to our Midwest correspondent, Jim Durham in Dallas. JD?
And you know what, Ernie? A Georgetown player was drafted #1 in the first round, and it looks like a Georgetown player will go #1 here in the second round as the Rockets are leaning toward Othello Harrington. They like his size. They like the fact that he can score facing the basket. And the Rockets, of course, have been about creating some money here under the cap. You know, they traded out of the first round. And actually, they're sitting real good. They're going to get a player they wanted, and they get him to start the second round. And, of course, that money won't go against the cap come July 1.
JD, is there still a lot of talk down Houston way about the chances of getting Charles Barkley in a Rocket uniform?
Yeah, there is, Ernie, and I think, you know, that plays into it. The Rockets are trying to get themselves into a position financially where they can make some moves in that direction with the Barkley, or perhaps getting into the free agent market also.
Jim Durham, our man in the Midwest. Thanks, JD. Talk to you again in a little while. Let's go to the Commissioner, David Stern, who has the 30th pick in the NBA draft. And Rod Thorne now at the podium. That's over. They go to the bench for the second round. Here you go, Rod.
With the 30th pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the Houston Rockets select Othello Harrington of Georgetown.
I like the pick because this young guy came out in Chicago and played his heart out, averaged double figures, which very few guys did in that camp. Averaged right around 6 rebounds. He's a good shot blocker. He can play power forward for you. And when you think of Houston with Olajuwon and not a quality backup unless Mark Bryant moves into the backup spot, that opens up a spot behind Chucky Brown for Othello Harrington if you do not make a trade and Charles Barkley does not come to your team.
And top 5 high school basketball player who's competed 4 hard years at Georgetown. And certainly, I think for the first pick in the second round, you're getting a gem.
Murrah High School in Mississippi, too, which has turned out a lot of top-notch ball players who have found their way to the NBA. Also, this guy behind Sleepy Floyd and Patrick Ewing and Reggie Williams and Alonzo Mourning, #5 on the all-time Georgetown scoring charts, and 55% shooter. Does a lot of work inside. Othello Harrington going to the Houston Rockets with the first selection of the second round. The Philadelphia 76ers are next. They had the first pick overall. They took Allen Iverson. Where do you go now if you're Johnny Davis?
No, I think from now on, Ernie, what you're trying to do is to get the best player.
Are you trying to tell me not to ask you where somebody's going now?
No,
okay,
hey,
I can take a hint.
I think we have, you know, made a few forceful statements here tonight. Yeah. No, here, right now, you're just looking for guys with athletic talent. You really are. You might have some needs. You know that Philadelphia is shy up front, but you also have some interesting point guards here. You know, the Norris young man and also McGinnis. I know we keep saying McGinnis, right, but you also have some quality big guys. They can go any way, any number of ways here.
And the big question mark what we're checking into now is whether Jeff McGinnis has an agent, like Scotty Thurman, who did have an agent and had to forfeit his senior year. Will this happen to Jeff McGinnis?
All right, Rod Thorne is ready now with the Philadelphia 76ers pick in the second round, the 31st overall.
With the 31st pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the Philadelphia 76ers select Mark Hendrickson of Washington State.
I'm happy for Mark Hendrickson because his story is an intriguing one. When he was just an infant, his father, who was a state trooper in the state of Washington, was killed in the line of duty on a routine traffic stop. His mom raised 2 sons, and tonight a dream comes true for Mark Hendrickson of Washington State as he is selected in the second round of the NBA draft. How about his game?
No, he's a banger. He's a banger, a worker who's going to play within a system. You say, well, you know, what's his best forte, you know, in his athletic talent? Well, what he gives you is an all-around guy that can do everything, you know, pretty solid, but he is a physical type of a guy.
Yes, he's a little small for power forward. It was just mentioned whether or not he could rebound at the next level is the question mark, but he's surely going to give that effort.
Happy night for Mark Hendrickson, his mom, Barbara, in Washington State. He is selected by the Philadelphia 76ers. Let's go now to Craig Sager. John Nash, the new GM of the New Jersey Nets, to talk to Craig Sager. Craig?
Well, Ernie, we've already met the new coach. We met the new draft pick. We might as well meet the new general manager, John Nash. Congratulations. What are your thoughts about Kerry Kittles, your pick, and also any thoughts about the first round?
Well, Curry, I think, is somebody the Nets are very fortunate to be able to acquire because he's got a versatility to his game in that he's not only a scorer, he's a very good defender. I think John Calipari feels that in time he'll play a little bit with Kendall Gill in the backcourt, maybe each of them alternating at the point guard because they can both handle the ball, they can both pass it, and defensively they're big enough to present a nice pressing unit in your backcourt. So Curry's, you know, a terrific kid, and he worked out very well here. I wasn't here for the first workout, but I saw them on tapes, and I think the Nets were very, very fortunate. The first senior selected.
How close were you to getting Kobe Bryant?
I think that there was some legitimate decision-making related to Kobe Bryant, and John Calipari really liked Kobe. But I think the need to improve in the more immediate future probably was the differential, and the experience and savvy of Kerry Kittles. But it was a very good time that we had trying to determine who was going to be the guy.
Well, good luck in the rest of the second round, but let's now go back to Rod Thorne.
At number 32, the Philadelphia 76ers select Ryan Miner, University of Oklahoma.
Ryan Miner, the first Big 8 player to be selected in the 1996 NBA draft out of Oklahoma. He's also a pretty good baseball player for a few years. Did not play this spring, and when you're 6'7" and 230, you're stepping right on a hitter at the plate. But I think this guy is a basketball player in front of a baseball player, and he's going to the Philadelphia 76ers. Not the greatest shooting year his senior year, but a guy who does have some skills.
Yeah, and when you think about it, most people were trying him out as a second guard, saying that he could be a shooter, even though, like you underlined, Ernie, he did not have a great senior season. But when you think about it, he is only the fourth second guard picked in this draft to date.
And remember, in the beginning of the year, he was on just about everybody's All-American list as the top 5 collegiate basketball player. And reminds me a little bit of Byron Houston at Oklahoma State, who was projected as a lottery pick and went later on. So you never know. He did not have good post workouts. That's obviously why it's led him to the second round, but he could surprise people in the second round pick.
Ryan Miner to the Philadelphia 76ers. Up next, the Milwaukee Bucks. We'll be back with the draft right after this. Welcome back to Continental Airlines Arena and the NBA draft. And the 33rd pick overall in the second round, the guy who was named for Minnie the Moocher in the old Cab Calloway song, Moochie Norris from West Florida, selected by the Milwaukee Bucks. And I know he's a guy that you both are very fond of.
Junior college player who played at Auburn, big steal guy, a great penetrator with his left hand, has an outstanding shot at staying in this league for quite some time.
Yeah, he averaged 13 points a game in Chicago. That's hard to do, and with 5 assists, Ernie.
Dallas is up next. Let's go down to Rod Thorne on the stage.
With the 34th pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the Dallas Mavericks select Sean Harvey of West Virginia State. We'll have a trade to announce. The Utah Jazz convey the draft rights to Martin Meerseth to the Miami Heat in exchange for a future first-round draft pick.
All right, so the Miami Heat, without a pick here, make a deal with the Utah Jazz, and they get the guy from Estonia. Now, Sean Harvey, he is West Virginia State, 6'4.5", 184, the player of the year in the West Virginia Athletic Association He can score, Hubie.
Yeah, this guy played extremely well in Chicago, did himself proud. He's a scorer. A lot of people question whether you can just bring him in and say that he's going to be a point guard. But he plays both positions, and what you like about it is his size. And he can score, and he can also deliver the pass.
But so many of the players in college basketball who play two-guard make that transformation to the one-guard spot. And if they can score in the NBA with the 24-second clock, that's a major plus.
He's a guy from Philadelphia. He said when he went to West Virginia State, he said, I thought I was going to see Uncle Jed up there. But he made the adjustment. Let's go back to Philly, which is the hometown of Sean Harvey. It's also the home of the Philadelphia 76ers, and Kevin Kiley's there, Kev.
All right, thanks so much, Ernie. I'm with Pat Croce, the president, who's having a blast. The new president of the 76ers got Allen Iverson, and now Mark Hendrickson and Ryan Miner in the second round. Just grabbing it there, or these are two guys you wanted?
Not at all. Brad and Johnny are psyched that they got through the first round.
These guys are people you had on your board, not best player available types. You have a place for them on this team.
Exactly. They were wish lists, hoping they got through the first round so that they can play with the 76ers now.
And you have your 48th pick, and who's that going to be?
I think it's going to be Allen's brother.
Some other Iverson. Pat Croce from the 76ers. Back to you, Ernie.
Boy, that guy is always in a bad mood. I mean, Pat Croce joining Kevin Kiley on the update on the Philadelphia 76ers. Up next with the 35th pick, the Seattle Supersonics. The story with the Sonics, free agents everywhere you look.
They have 7 key free agents, 6 of them in their regular rotation, and it is monumental for them to keep this team together.
Gary Payton is a must.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
of those 7, who do you have to sign?
Yeah, well, you have to sign Gary Payton, and you must sign Sam Perkins. I mean, these are 2 key guys. Burkowski gives you the latitude of a good backup center, or you could start him like they did in the finals. So, you have some interesting people here that must be in the make for next year.
Rod Thorne is on the stage, and he has the Seattle word.
With pick number 35, Seattle selects Joe Blair, University of Arizona.
Joseph Blair, 6'10 and a half, 256 pounds. Best shape of his career when he went to Phoenix for the Scouts. And this is a guy who can give you some frontline help in Seattle.
Yeah, what they're hoping for here is that he's a big guy who will rebound for you and then also get caught up in your style of play. He's mobile for a player that big. He had a solid career at Arizona. Big thing with this guy is he's got to work hard every single day. But, you throw him into that atmosphere and the work ethic that they demand at Seattle, that's the best thing that will happen for this guy's potential.
And he has the physical body and conditioning to play at that level. So I think it was a good draft pick. With this late to get a young man at that size, get in there and bang. But that's not the problem that the Seattle has right now. It's what Hubie was mentioning earlier. They've got to get the free agent signed.
Yes, indeed. And when Joseph Blair gets to camp there with Seattle, also going to be spending some time at the foul line, just a 40% free throw shooter. But Joseph Blair, the pick of the Seattle Supersonics at number 35. We have heard talk from Peter Vesey tonight about a possible Kobe Bryant deal from Charlotte involving the Lakers. What's the latest on that, Pete?
Here's the follow-up. Bob Bass, the general manager of the Hornets, has been quoted as saying that they have a deal. He would not say who it's with or who the player is, but it's a big deal, and it will be announced later, but not today. I've also been told it might be Cedric Ceballos in that deal instead of Anthony Peeler.
Well, I get word to Lake Havasu that he may be involved in a draft night deal with the Los Angeles Lakers and the Charlotte Hornets for Kobe Bryant, who was taken in the first round by the Hornets. Up next, the Los Angeles Clippers at pick number 36. We'll be back to tell you what the Clippers are thinking as we take a break. Continental Airlines Arena in the NBA Draft. Welcome back to Continental Airlines Arena. On the air more than 3 hours now with the NBA Draft. First round in the books. We are into the second round. The number 36 pick belonged to the Los Angeles Clippers. And they went to UConn for Duran Sheffer, a 6'5" point guard, 192 pounds, a guy who is a native of Israel. They wanted him to go back. He was playing on the national team. He opted to stay here and try the NBA. What are his chances of making this league?
Well, I think that he's a very intelligent player. The major weakness will be in foot quickness. But when you talk about a guy who sees the floor, can deliver the pass, can make the perimeter shot, he has all that. Now, the knock is, can he beat you off the dribble with the clock going down? And then how will he perform defensively?
And with the Clippers, with their mobility in the open court, here's someone who can deliver the basketball at the right time, knows how to do that. Can he turn around and defend, as you'd be saying? That's the big question mark, and that remains to be seen.
All right, Deron Schiffer goes to the Los Angeles Clippers. The number 37 pick belongs to the Denver Nuggets. Let us check in once again with Rod Thorne on stage.
With the 37th pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the Denver Nuggets select Jeff McInnes, University of North Carolina.
A long time coming, a long wait for Jeff McInnes to hear his name called, the North Carolina point guard. Surprising to an extent. You think he can help somebody? How do you like it?
Oh, no, this guy's got talent. This guy can score. He's an you just saw his best move right there. He's a terrific spin move guy who has a game, the 8 to 10 to 15-foot game. That's there. He's a good three-point shooter. This guy's got a lot of talent. Denver was interested in him early. I mean, they've been talking about trying to get him, and look where he falls to them when you think about it at 37. But, you know, Nick Van Exel, Jeff Hornacek, we have a long line of guys. Cliff Robinson, tons of guys who've been on that second round who have stepped in and been big-time players. Depends upon your attitude.
But, this is what I don't understand. With the new collective bargaining agreement, you have a 20% you can go up or down. Your salary is locked in. Why get an agent if you're not a lock lottery pick or you're not sure going in the first round? Why, when you can go back to one of the legendary programs, play your senior year, move into the first round, do you get an agent? An agent can't do anything for you.
And at this point, Jeff McInnes on his way to the Denver Nuggets. Jeff McInnes was the first North Carolina point guard to lead the Tar Heels in scoring since Kenny Smith. And Kenny likes the versatility that McInnes displays.
He probably can play both guard positions. He's quick enough to defend and strong enough and big enough. A lot of guys are one-dimensional, and that's probably the advantage that he has over the other guards in the draft.
Maybe he has advantages over other guards in the draft, but several others chosen before him. But Jeff McInnes chosen 37th by the Denver Nuggets. And also, that is the first time since 1990 that North Carolina has not had a player chosen in the first round of the draft. Up next, the Boston Celtics. Geez, I'm almost afraid to ask where you go here, Hugh. But
well, you know, the Boston Celtics could get help in a number of positions. But we also know right now the Boston Celtics only have Purvis Ellison at that center position. And, you know, they need size. But I think, once again, they'll take the best available player at the spot.
And if you're looking at big men, Darnell Robinson is in there. He's a guy you know from Arkansas.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Darnell Robinson, to me, when he came back after the foot injury, played terrific for Arkansas. So I thought right now, I think people think he gets out of shape. He did get out of shape in the Chicago tryouts, from what I understand. Haim is still out there from Tennessee. So probably the Celtics will go with one of the two.
The Eric Montross deal, of course, precipitating this as they moved up. And earlier in the evening, the Boston Celtics took Kentucky's Antoine Walker with the number 6 pick overall as they moved up from the number 9 spot to the number 6 spot. So the Boston Celtics ready to make their pick here in the second round. We're ready to go to Rod Thorne.
At 38, the Boston Celtics select Steve Hamer, University of Tennessee.
The interesting thing about this young man, Ernie, in Chicago, he struggled in the center position scoring with his back to the basket, but yet during the season, he scored. In all the shooting drills, the three-point shooting drills, he was one of the top shooters in the draft. He also, in all of the other shooting drills beyond the three-point shot, he did a great job. And yet he could not score in transition. And I'm just saying to myself now, is that because he wasn't accustomed to the style of play, or didn't he get enough catches?
That shocks me, Ubi, because they had a rule at Tennessee. It goes into Hamer before they shoot, and he was their low post threat. He very rarely left the block area. So that was their number 1 option. That was their number 2 option, their number 3 option. And certainly it's a good pick this late in time, but he has a lot of development before he can play in the NBA. He may go to Europe for a year.
Yeah, he's a little mechanical, but you know that he was well-schooled, and he also can play half-court basketball because they slowed the ball down.
No question about it.
58% field goal shooter, #1 in the Southeastern Conference for the Tennessee Volunteers. Let us check in with our Midwest correspondent once again. There's JD. I think that's Mavericks draft headquarters you're at, huh?
You got it, Ernie. But you know what? Denver's got to be real happy with how things have worked out for them, because they get Jeff McGinnis at 37. They were considering him at 23 before they took Retzius. So they get the two guys that they wanted, and now we'll be picking next here in the second round. And, you know, you look for McGinnis to play behind Mark Jackson. Denver's got to be happy with their draft to this point.
All right, thank you very much, J.D. Hubie, let's talk about the Denver Nuggets and the changing face of this team and the deals they've made, and especially in the backcourt also getting rid of Jalen Rose and Reggie Williams.
Yeah, Jalen Rose, Reggie Williams, and then also Abdul Rauf. Rauf went to Sacramento. Now, who do you have? You bring in older guys, Mark Jackson, and then also Ricky Pierce, and also Marcelonis. So they've gone older in the backcourt. But I like the McGinnis addition to that group. Their big thing right now is they have got to keep Mutombo. You have McNice, and then if Ellis can really continue to work on the development of his knee over the summer, hey, this could be a dangerous thing. But you need Mutombo in the middle.
And Jeff McGinnis gets to learn behind Mark Jackson, a seasoned veteran. So that's a great teacher for that position. They bring him along slowly, and they've got themselves a 6'3" point guard.
In your estimation, can Dikembe Mutombo be asking too much for what he brings to that team, Hubie?
Well, I think everything is always in the eyes of the beholder. Are there other people out there who are looking at him and saying, you know what, we're under the cap enough. We will take this guy because the shot blocking and the rebounding, it's there. Okay, it's really there. And you put him with a contending team or with a team that can afford him, hey, nothing but an upside.
Let's see where the Nuggets are going to go with this pick in the second round, and there's Rod Thorne once again.
At the 39th pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the Phoenix Suns select Russ Millard, University of Iowa.
A turnover on my part. It was the Phoenix Suns taking Russ Millard with the 39th pick of the second round. Kid out of Iowa, 6'8½".
Now, he did a very good job in the early camps. But in Chicago, it seemed like he ran out of steam. Whether it was because of the better quality of player at the center and big forward positions. But this guy is a banger. The more physical play, the better he reacts. But I think he's going to have difficulty scoring over the big, powerful guys at the power forward position.
Very similar to Hendrickson, and the same problem a little bit. Does he play big enough to play that position in the NBA? And with the quickness of the Phoenix Suns and their style, can he play and adjust to that style of play? So that remains to be seen also.
At the Portsmouth camp, he was impressive. He had 17 points and 8 rebounds for an average, and he won the dunk contest. So Russ Millard is on his way to the Phoenix Suns, rather, with the 39th pick here in the second round. Golden State Warriors are next. Again, the question to you, Hubie, is what you think here in the second round and where you go if you're Golden State.
Well, Golden State, when healthy, when you think about it, when you're talking Mullen last year injured, Donyell Marshall has got to start working at his game. He's got athletic tools. You look at the Joe Smith. What are they going to do with Ronnie Cycli? You know, they like what happened in the backcourt for them. Are they going to re-sign Sprewell? I mean, am I covering enough positions here?
I think you pretty much got the whole thing down pat, Coach.
I mean, we could take any position here, Ernie.
Let's go back to Rod Thorne, see what the Warriors are thinking. Okay, so the Golden State Warriors, we are told, not exactly ready to make the 40th pick here in the second round, which means, Hubie, you'd have more time if you want to, but let's talk about some of the guys.
Golden State selects Marcus Mann of Mississippi Valley State.
I was just about to say Marcus Mann would be a great pick for Golden State at number 40.
Yeah.
Rod beat me to it.
This guy I liked. He's a worker. This guy's a worker. In Chicago, kept his mouth shut, really worked hard at his game. He's a tough kid who can play small forward, power forward. He's a banger. Look at the size, 238, but he's got pretty good feet. And I liked his overall game. He played very well in Portsmouth, and then he did a nice, solid job in Chicago, but I was impressed with his quickness.
You're also got to be impressed with the way he boards. He had a 28-rebound game this year, which was the tops at any level of the college game. And some have said he reminds them of Mr. Mean, Larry Smith. And there have been worse guys you can be compared to than Mr. Mean. Marcus Mann, the new Mr. Mean, taken by Golden State, 40th here in the second round. 41 is next. That'd be the Sacramento Kings. Back with that selection right after this. Our state building, I believe. It's getting late, folks. 11 o'clock in the East. As our coverage of the NBA draft continues here at Continental Airlines Arena, the home of the New Jersey Nets. While we were away, Sacramento Kings with the draft of Jason Sasser at number 41 overall. Texas Tech 6'5", 220, and the Southwest Conference Player of the Year with 19.5 points a game and nearly 8 boards. Your thoughts on Jason Sasser?
No, I liked him. I liked him for how hard he played at his college. And he was the guy, the main guy, I thought, for that team and how far they went. And when you look at their record this year, was sensational. This guy plays with his heart. Now, people might say no range, questionable this, questionable that, except you want guys like this on your team.
Right, great athlete, tremendous in the open court, tries for every rebound, plays every second that he's out there. Now it's a question of can he play the 2-guard at a small forward position.
It has been said of him he's not a great shooter, but he does know how to score. That is Jason Sasser on his way to the Sacramento Kings. Time now for the Houston Rockets and Rod Thorne.
With the 42nd pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the Houston Rockets select Randy Livingston of LSU.
I made this statement after I was in Chicago at those double sessions. This guy was the smartest point guard there. And it's just a shame with the knee surgery, and I know you can speak firsthand, Rick, because this young man has a great IQ of how this game should be played. But he did drag the leg. Kenny played the 82 games and then play as many games in a week that is necessary.
This young man out of high school would have been someday one of the premier point guards in the NBA. Great vision, and as you said, Hubie knows how to play the game as well as anybody in the business. What we have to hope for here is that this knee does make a comeback. It gets rehabilitated, gets somehow stronger, because he has the best idea of how to run a ball club probably in this draft.
Rick, on the screen and rolls, I just wish you could have watched him. It was like watching a seasoned veteran guy in the NBA make the play, take you into the lane area, and now when you double commit again, he makes the pass. I mean, it was just beautiful to watch.
Just the history on his knee problems we have talked about. July 4th of 1993, tore his anterior cruciate ligament, and then later he hurt his right kneecap. That was in 1995, and so Randy Livingston oft injured and has a chance now as he goes to the Houston Rockets. Do you look into this at all? Sam Cassell possibly, you know, he's been mentioned in the Barkley things and that. Do you bring a guy in here with those kind of thoughts here? You're reading too much into it here.
No, I think you are. I mean, to me, when I heard that trade, 2 for 2, Charles Barkley in a deal 2 for 2, I don't know. I just can't believe that. I find that hard to believe.
All right, Phoenix is up next as we talk about the Suns, and already they have had 2 selections. Steve Nash, the fine point guard out of Santa Clara, went in the first round, the number 15 pick, and then Russ Millard here in the second pick just a couple of moments ago was taken with the 39th pick by the Phoenix Suns, and now they are the pick number 43. And your thoughts on who might be available now, and if you're surprised anybody is still available you thought might be gone by now.
Well, you still have Donnell Robinson, of course, a young man that I coach, Mark Pope, who I believe could play as an 11th, 12th man in the NBA. He's just the best worker I've ever coached as far as his threshold for work. And certainly you have Dante Calabria still available who can knock it down from the perimeter.
Also, in this category, you have Art Long from Cincinnati, a guy with a lot of pub. You also have Drew Barry, who has not been taken at this time. A lot of people thought that he might be a lower first round, early second round. So, there are some interesting people still available.
The Suns are up, and we go to Rod Thorne for their pick.
At number 43, the Phoenix Suns select Ben Davis, University of Arizona.
Well, they liked him coming into this draft. Now, we know he's had a few stops at the college level, but this guy is a banger. I don't think that he showed his best basketball in the Chicago camps, but coming into this draft, Phoenix was looking to pick him, you know, if they had that opportunity.
And certainly being in the backyard, they've seen this young man play quite a bit. He is well-traveled, has been well-documented. He is an outstanding rebounder. He's lost some weight. He's trimmed his body fat down. So for this late in the draft, you've got a young man who could do certain things.
You know, remember last year when they, in that second round, you know, they get Chris Carr, and then also they took up Coker as a free agent, but they also picked up Mario Bennett last year, took a chance on him with the bad knee, and he has a nice future there. They're loading up with some interesting people.
His travels well chronicled, as Rick Pitino points out, and if you have missed that chronicle, it's Kansas 91-92, transfer to Florida, did not play, Hutchinson Community College 93-94, then a couple years at Arizona. So those are the travels of Ben Davis, and now his travels have taken him to the Phoenix Suns, the 43rd pick here in the second round of the draft. The Charlotte Hornets are next. They are at pick number 44, and they're making a lot of noise because there was Kobe Bryant's selection in the first round. That came at number 13, and then came all the word of a possible trade, and there has been some verification by the Hornets that a deal is in place, but they are not releasing information as to exactly who is involved on the other end of that thing. But the Charlotte Hornets are up now, and your needs and their needs in your estimation, Hubert.
Well, I think that they need guard help, you know. Also, they have to protect against Muggsy Bogues as well as Anderson, who is leaving. You look with them, you still have good people at the two-guard position. You're always looking for help at the center position, because how many more years can Robert Parrish play?
100. to answer it quickly, let's go back to Rod Thorne now, Rod.
With the 44th pick, the Charlotte Hornets select Malik Rose of Drexel.
He played in the North Atlantic Conference and was known as the Shack of the Knack. Malik Rose of Drexel had his number 00 retired. He is picked by the Charlotte Hornets, 44th here in the second round. Your thoughts on
I tell you, this guy's a winner. No big guy could post him up on the boxes in Chicago. He was undersized, but he can move you off the block. He has outstanding foot quickness. And I saw him in the drills out there play small forwards with reputations, and they could not take him off the dribble.
And this, don't let Drexel fool you. Obviously, they've been to the NCAA and gave a lot of people problems. I believe Syracuse, they gave them big problems. But this young man will compete and back down to no one. And you be using the term winner, that describes Malik Rose.
They beat Memphis in the first round, as a matter of fact, and Malik Rose had 21 points and 15 rebounds. You can't call him the Shack of the Knack anymore, though, because they've renamed that conference just today the America East Conference. Are we on top of this or not? I reckon we are. We'll be back with more as the second round continues. Coming up next, the Seattle Supersonics. We'll be right back. Continental Airlines Arena as the NBA draft continues. We have gone through 44 picks. The 45th belongs to the Seattle Supersonics. And their 2 minutes between picks is up. We will check in now with Rod Thorne with Seattle's pick at number 45.
With the 45th pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the Seattle Supersonics select Joe Vogel, Colorado State.
Joe Vogel is 6'11" and 240, averaged a shade over 10 points and 6 rebounds a game. One of 4 second-round picks by the Seattle Supersonics. Have anything to add on Joe, who is... Don't give me that blank stare, Hugh.
No, I listen. Every year we have one guy that sometimes it's difficult for us. You know,
and really, you can tell by his point production and his rebounds per game, there is only one answer to this question mark, because we're confused a little bit on this pick. We got to go to Peter Vesson.
Peter's working the phones right now, probably still
He's always got an excuse now. Have you noticed the 2 times that we've tried to go to him, he picks up the phone and there's nobody on the other end?
He's going to plug the phone in next time we look at him. So there is Peter Vesey furiously working the phones, hopefully giving us an update on Kobe Bryant, who was selected by Charlotte and could be in the works for a trade. Now, who is left? There haven't been many shooting guards taken so far. Ray Allen, Kerry Kittles, Kobe Bryant, and Tony Delk were taken. But look at some of the players left in here.
Yeah,
Drew Barry, Calabria. Take a look.
and Ronnie Henderson. Ronnie Henderson, before that knee injury at LSU, I thought was an outstanding talent because he had great quickness, three-point range, and I kind of think that it's interesting that he's slipped. But I also like Chris Robinson. I thought he played extremely well. 6'6" out of Western Kentucky in Chicago.
Outstanding player. But Ronnie Henderson, UB also could stay in school. Has the option to go back to LSU if he doesn't have an agent.
The pick belongs to the Portland Trail Blazers, and here's Rod Thorne.
With pick number 46, the Portland Trail Blazers select Marcus Brown of Murray State.
The Ohio Valley Conference Player of the Year the last 2 years. 26.5 points a game for Marcus Brown. A shooting guard from Murray State. The Popeye Jones, a product of Murray State, and here's Marcus Brown in the NBA.
Now he's had some big games against some good competition. The problem is he big enough to play the scoring guard in the NBA? Yep. But he's had some great nights against U of L and other opponents.
Well, all the coaches who dealt with him out at Chicago camp felt, he's extremely coachable. He tried to play the point guard position. He did a good job. He did an adequate job, but it's something that I think they're betting that he'll work at. A good athlete, and I'm like you, Rick. The old story, shooting makes up for a multitude of sins, and this guy can score.
No question, and you got a lot of scoring guards left. I'm quite surprised Dante Calabria hasn't been picked.
And Drew Barry as well, still out there from Georgia Tech. Let us check in with our West Coast correspondent, our Pacific Division man on the scene. With these two guys were on the preview show last night, and somebody wants to make a sitcom out of them. Scott Hastings and Cotton Fitzsimmons together, guys.
Well, I tell you what, Ernie, I wouldn't know what to do with Cotton here. He's telling me, make sure you look in the camera and be right, and I appreciate that. You look at the draft so far, you guys take Nash in the first round, another big guy a lot of people haven't heard of from Iowa, Millard in the second round. Your thoughts on how the Phoenix Suns did in this draft?
Well, I think we did fine in the draft. When you're picking 15, if you look at past 15 selection, a lot of them have failed. I don't think Nash will fail. I think he'll be in this league for quite some time. So we're delighted about that. And in the second pick, here's a tough kid from Iowa that works very hard. Yes, all second rounders will have a hard time making it in this league. They always do. But a lot of them make it. A lot of first rounders fail. This kid might make it.
Exactly. You look at some of the teams that have done pretty well for themselves, Hubie and Rick and Ernie talking about it. New York took some chance on some guys, and they came up diamond in the rough, if you will.
They took some big people. And, for Wallace to slide down as far as he did, they got a guy who could become a great player. There's no doubt, I don't think, in anybody's mind. So they have to go away happy, hoping for the very best from him. Dante Jones, big, strong guy in there. They did a nice job.
Okay, you ready to wrap this thing up and send it back to Ernie for me?
Yeah, let's go back to Ernie. Try to get Hubie off and Patino off. They've been on long enough today.
I object to that. Thank you very much, Cotton Fitzsimmons, and Scott Hastings, living proof that, yes, you can make it in the second round. Thank you very much, Scott. Let's go down with the Seattle pick at number 47.
With pick number 47, Seattle selects Ron Riley of Arizona State.
This guy never met a three-point shot he didn't like. Shot 196 threes, but only hit 29%.
He comes down, he's very quick. He looks to shoot the three, but he's also extremely athletic. He's got outstanding speed in the open court. We played against him in the NCAA a couple of years ago, and he does pull up, but he also has very good quickness.
Well, I think it's either feast or famine.
Exactly.
And I thought in Chicago there were a couple of games where he was on fire, and he lights everything up. Because the quickness is there, the range is there, and he's not bashful. He'll put the ball up for you, and when he's gone that feast, he's very dangerous.
When to shoot and when not to shoot is obviously the greatest concern when dealing with him, because he does want to shoot every time he catches the basketball.
And we are just hearing now that Jamie Fike of Michigan State is the next pick of the Philadelphia 76ers at pick number 48 in the second round. We heard Pat Croce earlier talking about...
Pat's coming on saying this is exactly the guy
we wanted. We had him down.
I'll tell you, I like this guy. This guy is a bruiser. At 6'9", he's a wide body. He did a very, very good job. You can see the 256 pounds there, and he plays that way. Quiet, coachable, In Chicago, he averaged a shade under 10 points a game, to 6 rebounds, high percentage, close to 70%. So you like that. Main thing is, can you hold your area at that size in the NBA and not get overpowered by the 6'10 and the 6'11 guys who play that position?
And that's the biggest problem of the second round. The size doesn't fit the position to compete in the NBA, and but heart overcomes a lot of deficiencies in size, and this young man has great heart.
And developed a bit of a three-point shot in his senior year, hitting 20 out of 69, a shade over 30%. Not bad for a guy who's 6'9", 256. Jamie Fike going to the Philadelphia 76ers with the 48th pick, and as Rick was pointing out, I'm sure the guys in Philadelphia saying, exactly where we thought he'd be. We got him. We're pumped up. We're on our way back. Pat Croce's enthusiasm is infectious in there in Philadelphia. You can feel it right through the TV screen. The Orlando Magic up next at number 49. Some interesting stuff from Kevin Kiley earlier tonight about some disharmony, possibly. Shaquille O'Neal, Penny Hardaway.
I know Kevin's got the inside track on some scoops. I just cannot buy that. I really can't. Those two young men have too much pride in their abilities to worry about who gets more attention, because both of them get so much attention, it's unbelievable. So I just can't buy into those theories.
What do you think? What is your gut telling you about Shaquille O'Neal and his desires, whether to stay in Orlando or go to the West Coast?
No, I'm just hoping for the Orlando franchise and then for the Eastern Conference that he stays. And I'm hoping that they can work out a deal. But Orlando has come out and said, we are only going to offer X amount of dollars. Now, whether or not they can play within that ball game, or can someone else, mainly out on the West Coast, can they answer and pay the young man more? Who knows, Ernie? It's a tough call.
Let's go to Rod Thorne now, the pick of the Magic, number 49.
With the 49th pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the Orlando Magic selects Amal McCaskill of Marquette.
This young guy is a shot blocker. He's a rebounder, shot blocker, limited offensive skills. But what they're doing, you can see, is they're just looking to get another backup guy. A Koncak was a God bless this year for Orlando at that backup position. Now, will Koncak be back? Well, you know, John would like to give it another year, but let's face it, his legs, the conditions of his legs are, questionable. Now, they also have Vaughn at 6'9" in that backup center role out of Memphis from a year ago. So McCaskill comes in there, shot blocking. You look, they get Evans from Indiana. This guy at 7 foot, you can see, hey, they're looking big guys up front.
And McCaskill knocked us out in the NCAA tournament a few years back, and the upside is there. He does have potential. Obviously, like we said so many times tonight, has to work on his body. And I think Orlando made a good pick.
Went to St. Joseph's High School in Maywood, Illinois, same place that Zeke went. Isaiah Thomas. Right now, let's get the latest on the Central Division. And there is Cheryl Miller. Cheryl, what you got, kid?
I'll tell you, Ernie, if Indiana has to be very happy with their 10th pick, they wanted to add a little more depth to the 5 position. They got that in Eric Dampier. Donnie Wall said if there's any more needs from here on out, it's to get a little more scoring in their backcourt. Look for them to address that. If you're Milwaukee and Mike Dunleavy, you have to be very happy. You've got the backcourt that you wanted. Look for them for their last pick to go big. If you're Cleveland, you're just simply trying to find the best player that's available at the time. Guys?
And you're looking for somebody with a pronunciation guide, because yes. Mike Fratello has gone to the foreign contingent here in the first round of the NBA draft. We're in the second round right now. Houston is pick number 50, and we go to Rod Thorne for that.
The Houston Rockets select Terrell Bell, University of Georgia.
Well, we can pick the brain of the SEC mentor here, Kentucky's Rick Pitino, on Georgia's Terrell Bell.
Well, Terrell Bell's played a backup most of his career to Claxton, but this year he's a shot blocker. He runs the floor well. He does not have great offensive moves. He needs to work on that aspect of his game, but he does run the floor well. He is a decent shot blocker, and certainly had a good senior year and helped the Georgia Bulldogs to an outstanding season.
Well, they're looking for an upside here, Ernie, and I know you just broke out in the Georgia fight song. You know? But this guy can rebound, can block shots. That's the upside. You wish that he was a little bit more athletic and also maybe a little meaner at that size. But you can see what Houston's doing. They're getting backup help at that center position.
But now, would you think he'd go ahead of his 2 teammates? That's what's interesting. 3 teammates, K2 Davis as well.
And Shandon Anderson.
And Carlos Strong.
Carlos Strong.
How about that?
Terrell Bell going to the Houston Rockets. He was number 3 in the SEC in blocks behind Roy Rogers and Eric Dampier. So Terrell Bell to the Rockets. Vancouver's up next. We'll be back. The NBA draft winding down here in New Jersey. 58 picks in all. We are at pick number 51, held by the Vancouver Grizzlies, and moments ago they made that pick. The Grizzlies have had themselves a pretty good night, have they not? Sharif Abdur-Rahim taking number 3. They got Roy Rogers, the big Bama shot blocker, at 22, and now they go Chris Robinson, a 6'6", nearly 200-pounder, a 2-guard from Western Kentucky. The book on his game, Hubie.
Oh, I like this guy. This guy showed in Chicago he can play 2-guard at that size. Very few people averaged over double figures in those workouts. It was very difficult to do in limited time. They played shortened games. He averaged 14 points a game and then also made assists and shot a high percentage. And that's what you like to see when guys are in that type of a competition.
Ralph Willard, the ex-Western Kentucky coach, recruited this young man and thought he'd be a great player before his career was over. And from Georgia, I think he's an outstanding prospect to get this late in the draft.
Yeah, went to Southwest High School in Macon, Georgia. So Chris Robinson on his way to the Vancouver Grizzlies. That's a long way from Macon, Georgia, and from Western Kentucky. Let's check in now with Peter Vesey. Pete?
I was just talking to Kevin McHale, the Timberwolves vice president. The whole organization, the whole city is fired up about getting Stephon Marbury. Not only was they need the point guard, he was the point guard they needed most. They had him on the board as the #1 point guard available. They did not have to give up Andrew Lang. They thought they might have to do it. They gave up a 1999 or 2000 pick, first rounder. But the biggest thing is that Kevin Garnett is doing cartwheels. You know, he and Marbury are very tight, and all he was screaming was, "My boys in town, my boys in town."
One big happy family up there with the T-Wolves in Minnesota. Let's go now to Rod Thorne, Indiana, with the pick, the 52nd pick in the second round.
Number 52, the Indiana Pacers select Mark Pope, University of Kentucky.
Speaking of doing cartwheels, there goes Rick Pitino.
Thank you. My rosary beads were out of press. Thank you, Indiana. Do I owe you a big favor? Because we're speaking about probably the hardest worker I've ever coached. I used to say that Billy Donovan was the hardest worker I've ever coached until Mark Pope. And this is a young man who, if he's going to be 11th or 12th man and make a coach proud, this is that young man.
I saw where you were quoted as saying if he goes to camp, if he really puts his nose down and really plays the way he knows he can with confidence, he can make an NBA.
Well, he shoots it well at 6'9". He also runs very well. He races McCarty in all those runs and finishes maybe a second behind him. He's got good low post moves, and he's just a terrific young man who will give every ounce of perspiration he has. So I'm very, very happy for Mark.
Now, when he came to you from Washington, Rick, did he lose weight?
Yes, he lost about 15 pounds and put 10 pounds of muscle on him, but we worked him so hard academically, UB, that it just would put too much pressure on the young man.
No, I'm happy for him, and also it's a good pick for Larry Brown. Once again, you're getting a perimeter guy. When you have a Rick Smits in the hole and you're coming with second-line guys, you need people who can shoot the perimeter shot.
And Mark Pope will, I think, do the Indiana Pacers very proud, because no one will outwork this young man.
Sometimes can it be even more satisfying for you as a coach? You know some of these guys are going to go. You know the Delks and the McCartys are going to go, and Antoine Walker, to see Mark Pope go.
For the last 10 picks, my insides were churning beyond belief. I kept saying to you, I hope Mark Pope goes next, because here's a Rhodes Scholar candidate who was a big part of our championship and deserves a legitimate shot. And if he doesn't make it with the Pacers, he'll go to Europe and be an outstanding best. Maybe Greece.
Yeah, that's where they're all coming from. Next up, number 53, the Milwaukee Bucks. Again, we go back to Rod Thorne.
At pick 53, the Milwaukee Bucks select Jeff Nordgaard of Wisconsin Green Bay.
Boy, there are going to be some cheeseheads who are happy tonight, huh? That's got to be a popular
Here's a
pick.
young man, Pete Carrill, Wisconsin Green Bay, who really knows how to play the game of basketball. We played them early in the season 2 years ago and could not stop him. when the NCAA pairings were coming out, we did not want to face this team. You look at Wisconsin, Green Bay, and Princeton, those are the two teams you do not want to face. I don't know if he could play at the NBA level, but this is one terrific college basketball player.
Tony Bennett, also a product of Wisconsin, Green Bay. This is a durable kid, Hubie.
Oh, no, you like everything about him, because there they have to play a perfect game when they go up against the heavily talented Division I teams. They were very well coached, and this young guy, one of the top scorers and primetime guys that had to make the big shots for them, they play so many close games.
No question, and if you watch this young man score, it's moving without the basketball. Now with the 24-second clock, does he have enough time like Evans and Norgard to get the shot they want? That remains to be seen.
The Midwest Collegiate Conference Player of the Year is Jeff Norgard, and played nearly every minute of every game, averaged 39.8 minutes per contest for Wisconsin Green Bay. Utah's got the next pick at 54.
Number 54, the Utah Jazz select Shandon Anderson, University of Georgia.
Don't give me that fight song stuff again either. Shandon Anderson.
Oh, Ernie's at his glory.
And now he's going to make sure all the Georgia guys get drafted right now. Now he pulls his weight.
Yeah, I know how you feel now, Rick. It gives you such great pride to see this on a night like this. Now, that's 2 out of the last 5 here in the second round. Your thoughts on Shandon Anderson, Hubie?
Well, you know, he's the type of a guy you're sitting and you're watching him play, and you say, you know, he's really not doing too much. And all of a sudden you look at the stat sheet, and he has quite a few points. He has the ability to score quietly, Rick. But I don't know how you matched up against him and what you thought.
Well, the question mark is, can he knock down the outside shot? He drives well to the basket. He's got a good first step, decent offensive rebound, a pretty good defensive basketball player. Can he knock down the perimeter shot consistently? And that's a big question mark.
He is the brother of Willie Anderson, who went to Georgia. Back with more on the NBA draft. 4 picks to go. Thanks for hanging with us tonight, folks. Turner Sports coverage of the 1996 NBA draft continuing late into the second round now. There are 58 picks total. Pick number 55 by the Washington Bullets, Ronnie Henderson, another SEC kid out of LSU. Your thoughts on him, Rick?
Ronnie Henderson, if you watched him play in high school along with Othello Harrington, you would say this young man is going to be one of the best players in college basketball. Now, he had an outstanding year at LSU, hurt his knee, but this young man has great talent, great ability. You have 3 players left, Ronnie Henderson included, Donnell Robinson, Carlos Strong, all 3 top 10 high school basketball players, McDonald's All-Americans.
And right now we are late in the second round, and at least Ronnie Henderson now has been drafted by the Washington Bullets. Let's go to Rod Thorne with Cleveland's pick at 56.
With the 56th pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers select Reggie Geary, University of Arizona.
Now, this guy can get after you, Ernie. This guy can defend. Very, very tough.
On the defensive end, he passed Kenny Lofton of the Cleveland Indians in career steals, 208 to 200. Great defender, very quick, and Reggie Geary on his way to Mike Fratello's bunch with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now let's check in with our Atlantic Division correspondent once again, Kevin Kiley. How are you, Kevin?
I'm doing just great, Ernie. The later it gets, the better I feel. We were looking at the Bullets with just a 55th pick, but there's a lot going on potentially in Washington. They have to sign Juwan Howard. They're going into a new building, but Juwan and Kenny Anderson are both represented by David Falk. There is some talk that Kenny Anderson may wind up in Washington. They have Robert Pack. He's completely healthy, but Jim Lynam, the coach of the Bullets, not completely sold on him. Also, Rasheed Wallace and Calbert Chaney are said to be on the trading block. They would part with both of those. And Jim McIlvaine, Wes Unseld, told me he will re-sign him, the backup center, but he's very much in demand around the league, and you can look for the Bullets to maybe trade him and get some veteran players. Back to you, Ernie.
Thank you very much, Kevin. That's a good point, too, about Jim McIlvaine, who has really come on last year. When George Murison got hurt late in the season, Hubie, this guy helped carry them. I know that it was Howard who carried the team on his back, but some good minutes coming out of McElvain.
Well, for the minutes, you look at the rebounding and the shot blocking, there are over 10 teams in the NBA trying to get him as a free agent. But he came out of Marquette as a dominant defender in the lane area.
Let us go back to Rod Thorne. I know you had something to say there, Rick, and I'll get back to you, I promise. 57th pick, the second to last, the penultimate pick.
Number 57, the Seattle Supersonics select Drew Barry of Georgia Tech.
One of the loudest roars we've heard from those who remain here, that Drew Barry was picked in the second round by the Seattle Supersonics. A great passer, to say the least, Hubie.
Ever since he's been at Georgia Tech, you know, the assists are always there. He's a gutsy three-point shooter. Sometimes he's a little aloof out there, but we're talking about a player with a high IQ of how to play the point guard position, and he can finish for you. I like his total all-around game. I really do.
And you can't put anything by this family. They always seem to rise and make it, and certainly that for Seattle to get Drew Barry this late probably surprises all of us. What I wanted to say about Washington going into the new building, now signing Kenny Anderson, as they said with David Falk and Juwan Howard, the ticket prices now will be $240 per ticket if they do sign Kenny Anderson and Juwan Howard.
A bargain at that price, obviously. Back to the Barry situation here for a second. John was the 21st pick of the 92, and Brent the 15th in 1995, and now Drew Barry is a second-round pick. Bobby Crimmins was his coach at Georgia Tech and knew he had a good one eventually.
When Drew came here, we redshirted him. He was not highly recruited, but like all the Barrys, none of them were highly recruited. And one thing that is certain about the Barrys, they're late bloomers. And Drew came on very strong. He didn't have the physical strength right away, but he had the mind to play the game. He really knows the game, and that's his forte.
February 10th of last year, very big date for Drew Barry. Had his career high of 30 points, and later that night his brother Bones, Brent Barry, won the slam dunk contest at All-Star Weekend. And so he is selected late in the second round. And let us go now to Phoenix and Scott Hastings. I thought possibly that Scott had given us his last report, but obviously this is not true. Let us go to our West Coast correspondent from the Pacific Division, Scott Hastings in Phoenix. Scotty?
Ernie, I feel like I need to go back and help you guys out a little bit with the 45th pick taken in the draft by Seattle, Joe Vogel. He's a guy I've seen play a couple times up at CSU, Fort Collins, Colorado. And let me just say this. It's easy to say, have the graphics and all the replays of the Cambies and all these other first 4 or 5 picks. But let me just compare this guy to somebody some ex-NBA players that may speak volumes of Joe Vogel. Ed Neely, Chuck Nevitt, Mark McNamara, Scott Hastings, and Eric Feinstein. If you compare those guys' talents with Joe Vogel, you may have one and the same.
I had no idea he was that good.
Brings a tear to my eye, Joe.
The inimitable Scott Hastings joining us from Phoenix, Arizona. We are down to the final pick of the night, 58 for the Dallas Mavericks. One more time to Rod Thorne.
With the 58th and final selection in the 1996 NBA Draft, the Dallas Mavericks select Darnell Robinson, University of Arkansas.
Well, the last part of that All-American, Carlos Strong, did not get drafted. But if I'm Darnell Robinson, what I do right now is go out and hire a trainer. And every single day work me out for 3 hours, because this young man can make it. If he gets himself in great shape and just concentrates on his body, his conditioning, this young man has a future in the NBA. If not, he's going to Europe.
Rick, when he came out of high school, he was the leading scorer in the history of the state of California. Everyone thought that he had incredible potential, but he just seemed to stay at a certain level. But you're right. The body's there, and he's going to a team that he could make.
No question.
You see, and make a contribution.
And that's all he has to do is dedicate himself, because when he came back from the injury, he got in great shape. He helped Arkansas play well in the NCAA tournament. Then as soon as the season ended, got back out of shape.
And we harken back to what we said earlier in the night. The last pick of the draft last year was Don Reed of Georgetown going to the Detroit Pistons. He proved that, yes, indeed, you can be the last pick, and you can have an impact in the NBA as he did for Doug Collins' bunch. Darnell Robinson of Arkansas, the final pick of the 1996 NBA draft. Back in New Jersey to wrap things up after this. That went by just like that.
Oh, good.
The 1996 NBA draft is in the books. 58 selections made, some futures made, and some franchises got to be mighty happy tonight. Ernie Johnson back with Hubie Brown and Rick Pitino, and let's put a wrap on this thing as we take a look team by team and how things went and who helped themselves. And we'll begin at the beginning with the Atlanta Hawks taking Priest Lauderdale. It's been pointed out now that on the front line, the Hawks now have a Christian and a Priest. Boston with Antoine Walker and Steve Hamer. How about the Hornets and the Bulls, guys?
Well, it depends on the Kobe Bryant trade or not. You know, they've done very well. They fill their needs, and certainly in the backcourt position if they lose some of the players that they may lose.
And you saw Travis Knight go to the Chicago Bulls. The Cleveland Cavaliers, Mike Fratello getting big early.
Yeah, they did an excellent job. Things fell right for them.
And you get Reggie Geary in the second round, a master of the steal. Dallas with Samaki Walker and Sean Harvey and Darnell Robinson, the final pick in the second round. The Denver Nuggets go with Rencius in the middle, and Jeff McGinnis, a point guard, an early entry, slips all the way to number 37. Jerome Williams of Georgetown should help Doug Collins in Detroit. Golden State with Todd Fuller of NC State, Marcus Mann, and you gotta like what the Rockets were able to do in the second round, Hubie.
No, I like it as long as the knee becomes healthy for Randy Livingston. You're gambling on Terrell Bell, but if the young man comes with a purpose and works at it, who knows?
But Harrington can be a player in this league. Indiana with Dampier and, yes, Mark Pope, and again the smile creases the face of Rick Pitino. And the Clippers with Lorenzen Wright and Duran Sheffer, as they have a pick in each round, the 7th and the 36th. Derek Fisher with the Lakers. I don't know if we've heard the last of the Lakers, though. They could be in the mix there for that Kobe Bryant deal. The Miami Heat did not have a pick, but made a trade and got Martin Mursep from the Utah Jazz. The Milwaukee Bucks made the deal. Marbury for Ray Allen, so the Bucks get Ray Allen.
And this is a great team for the future when you look at it. You've got an excellent point guard with Moochie Norris, a terrific shooting guard in Ray Allen to go with their already superb front court.
Stephon Marbury going to play with his buddy Kevin Garnett in Minnesota.
It was just a curfew instituted 10:30 players.
AM.
Listen, they have a very nice starting unit right now.
How about the Knicks? Big doings.
You love what the Knicks did. Everything fell right for them. You really have three talented people, and all three can play big and score.
All three we thought could be in the lottery.
Absolutely.
For the Orlando Magic, the shooter in Brian Evans, some help as a backup center, and Amal McCaskill, the center from Marquette. The Philadelphia 76ers had Allen Iverson first. You got Mark Hendrickson and Ryan Miner, 31 and 32, and Pat Croce saying that's exactly where we hoped they'd be, and we grabbed him. He's excited about the new look in the Philadelphia 76ers. They add Jamie Fike later. Steve Nash, the fine point guard out of Santa Clara, heads up the Phoenix list. The Blazers going with Jermaine O'Neal. Going to be a while, but he can be a player.
Absolutely. Every guy that had him in loved his talent. The positive upside.
The Sacramento Kings go with Stojakovic, who had been playing some in Greece, and Jason Sasser. San Antonio Spurs, no picks tonight. That's why you did not hear the name of the Spurs called once during the entire evening. How about the Sonics? All their picks in the second round. What will they do here?
Well, it's going to be difficult for every guy to make that team. I mean, we're talking about a veteran ball club. But like we said, if they re-sign all of their free agents, that's a tough team to make.
Moving on to the Toronto Raptors. One pick, Marcus Camby is a good one.
Yes, you do. Now you have Stoudemire and Camby. You have two pieces to the puzzle, one more great one, and then you have a terrific start.
Now, Sharon Wright can step up and play and not get injured. You got three nice players.
No question about it.
They got to be happy in Vancouver tonight.
Absolutely.
Vancouver helped themselves tremendously. Stu Jackson and his staff did a wonderful job, and they come out of the draft like the Knicks. You can just say glowing things about the people they have.
Let's get some closing comments now from the other couple of guys who were with us tonight. Right down here, Greg Sager and Peter Vesey, guys.
Well, as we've seen tonight, kids think of the NBA on playgrounds all over the world. and I think that happened on a concrete outside housing project in the Bronx where the three older brothers of Stephon Marbury dreamed of playing professional basketball. And tonight, Stephon filled the dream for all of them. And the thoughts of Mabel, his proud mother, and the sights of her crying, overwhelmed with emotion, I think probably brought a tear to a lot of us as well. So I thought the kids did a great job, and it's a very emotional scene because it's a dream for the entire family.
Okay, my thoughts. It occurs to me that the Suns getting Steve Nash might kill the deal that they have with the Rockets. They don't need Sam Cassell anymore, and I've been told that deal is dead, so that there'll be no Charles Barkley going to the Rockets. What I think we might look for him at this point is to go to the Hornets. They're reshuffling there. They're going big time. So let's look for that in the next couple weeks.
And we'll look to see what's up with Kobe Bryant as well. Thank you very much, Peter Vesey and Craig Sager. And our thanks to our guys who were out there on the road tonight. Also, we had Cheryl Miller in Cleveland and Jim Durham in Dallas. And we had Scott Hastings out there in Phoenix and Kevin Kiley in Philadelphia joining me and Rick Pitino and Hubie Brown. And as we said yesterday, the whole Hee Haw gang. Back with our closing comments. Yes, even more closing comments from the Meadowlands right after this.